Chapter 21. There were 4 levels of the martial Tao: spirit, severing, body, thought, and origin. After that was the Tao realm. Jiang Chen was now at the upper level of the spirit realm, but he had opened 33 spirit meridians. The amount of true qi in his body was no less than that of an upper-level body realm cultivator. Even a lower-level thought realm cultivator would find it difficult to compete with Jiang Chen in terms of the amount of true qi. However, every realm was different. They all had their own characteristics and advantages. Therefore, no matter how rich Jiang Chen's true qi was, it was impossible for him to compete with an origin realm cultivator. Since he couldn't compete, the only thing Jiang Chen could do now was to break through as quickly as possible. However, there were still 7 days left. Even if Jiang Chen was a god, he wouldn't be able to break through to the origin realm in 7 days. How dare they attack my Chuanzun sect? Jiang Chen whispered, then closed his eyes and continued to cultivate. However, he already had a plan in his heart. Another 2 days passed, and there were only 5 days left before the Shengwu sect attacked. At this moment, Jiang Chen had already opened 36 spirit meridians. The last step, condensing the heavenly star. As long as the heavenly star is not extinguished, true qi will never be exhausted. Jiang Chen whispered. This was also the most difficult step of the 9 carols heavenly star technique. Since ancient times, there had been no lack of monstrous geniuses and people with shocking talents. There were also people who had cultivated the 9 carols heavenly star and opened 36 spirit meridians. However, in the end, those people all stopped at the step of condensing the heavenly star, gathering and condensing the 36 spirit meridians into a formation, forming a circle until the 36 spirit meridians merged. During this period, not only did one have to endure extreme pain, one also had to be extremely careful. The fusion of spirit meridians would collapse with the slightest carelessness. Spirit meridians were interconnected. Once one spirit meridian collapsed, the rest would also collapse. At that time, although one's cultivation wouldn't be crippled, it would be 3 to 5 months before they could walk again. For safety's sake, there can't be any mistakes, Jiang Chen whispered. Even though he had condensed the heavenly star once before, he didn't dare to be careless. I've been waiting for you for half a day. You've been cultivating all this time, so it's not good to disturb you. At this moment, Lu Shan walked in excitedly from outside the hall. What's the matter? Jiang Chen blinked his eyes, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. The way I see it, the Chuanzun sect has many things to do. If this goes on, I'm afraid the Chuanzun sect is going to be destroyed. Lu Shan said with a straight face, especially in the area of formations. Although we have the 9 mystic formations protecting the mountain gate now, we don't have the spirit gathering formation and other formations that we need for cultivation. So? Jiang Chen teased. So? Lu Shan's face suddenly turned red when he heard that, but he still maintained a straight face and said, So, I plan to stay in the Chuanzun sect and use everything I've learned to set up formations for the Chuanzun sect, restoring the Chuanzun sect to its former glory. Pooh! As soon as these words came out, Jiang Chen couldn't help but laugh out loud. Restore the sect to its former glory? Could Lu Shan do it? If you want to stay, just say it. There's no need to boast so much. Jiang Chen smiled. Coincidentally, the Chuanzun sect lacks a formation master. If you're willing to stay, you can stay. Really? Lu Shan was excited, but he seemed a little hesitant after that. He rubbed his old hands together and looked like he wanted to say something, but stopped on second thought. I've already given you the blueprint of the 9 mystic formations. If you're willing to work hard for the Chuanzun sect, I'll give you other formations as well. Jiang Chen smiled. How could he not know what Lu Shan was thinking? Sure. This time, Lu Shan was very decisive and agreed immediately. After all, someone who could take out a formation that surpassed Earth grade and even Heaven grade would definitely have other formations. Besides, Lu Shan wasn't stupid. There must be a reason why Jiang Chen had made Tong Sang and the other alchemists stay in the Chuanzun school so loyally. Not only did he want the formation blueprint, but he also wanted to find out more about Jiang Chen. He wanted to see how many secrets this young man was hiding. Wait a moment. At that moment, Jiang Chen used his chi as a brush and ink to sketch out a formation blueprint in the air. He also noted the things to take note of when setting up the formation, as well as the materials to be used. Lu Shan looked on silently from the side, but there was a hint of disdain in his eyes. That was because there were only slightly more than 300 runes on the formation blueprint. It was a far cry from the 9 mystic formations formation. You're still disdainful? Jiang Chen was speechless. You think a formation with more than 300 runes is weak? It's at least an Earth-grade formation. Then, what grade does the 9 mystic formations formation belong to? Lu Shan asked. He felt that ever since he saw the 9 mystic formations formation, he had become a little arrogant. I'm not sure, but it's at least beyond heaven grade. Jiang Chen was not sure. He frowned. If it's beyond heaven grade, it should be Chun grade. The grades of formations were heaven, earth, black, and yellow. Yellow was the weakest, and heaven was the strongest. But above heaven grade, there were sun, moon, star grade. In such a remote place like solitary North City, there was not even a heaven grade formation. Naturally, it was impossible to see a Chun grade formation. In fact, many people in solitary North City had never even heard of sun, moon, star grade. Help me set it up within a day, and I'll give you the formation blueprint, Jiang Chen said. But if you want to stay, you'll have to pay the rent. The materials to set up the formation will be the rent. Why are you so stingy? Lu Shan was furious. Jiang Chen looked up at the sky and let out a long sigh. Because I'm poor. Lu Shan was speechless. As the leader, was he really that poor? But Lu Shan did not mind. He took the formation blueprint and started to set up the formation. In order to condense the stars, Jiang Chen had to make some preparations, such as the formation that Lu Shan set up. This formation was called the Spirit Strengthening Formation. It could strengthen one's essence, chi, and spirit. It could also stabilize one's cultivation and spiritual meridians. In addition, Jiang Chen also had to prepare some things. Among them, elixirs were indispensable. After a few breaths, Jiang Chen entered the alchemy room. He wanted to refine some elixirs by himself. But as soon as he entered the alchemy room, Jiang Chen saw Jiang Lu. Jiang Lu was the only outer disciple left in Chuanzuan sect. During this period, Jiang Chen had been busy with trivial matters and cultivation. Naturally, he had forgotten about Jiang Lu. Now, seeing Jiang Lu, Jiang Chen was dumbfounded. Jiang Lu was originally a little fatty, similar to a short winter melon. But now, after not seeing him for a while, Jiang Lu had become fatter. Jiang Lu also saw Jiang Chen and ran over excitedly. But after calling out Jiang Chen's name, Jiang Lu's eyes flashed with a trace of panic. I forgot. You are now the leader of Chuanzuan sect. Jiang Lu looked panicked and hurriedly said, Greetings, leader. Silly tiger, no matter who I am still your brother. I am still the same Jiang Chen who was exiled from Qinchuan Jiang family with you. Jiang Chen said, smiling. Patting Jiang Lu's shoulder, he said, I might not be who I used to be, but you and I are still who we used to be. Chapter 22. Jiang Lu, together with Jiang Chen, came from the Qinchuan Jiang family. But different from Jiang Chen, Jiang Lu was a branch disciple, and his talent was extremely low. He was rejected by the family and exiled to the Chuanzuan sect. In terms of background, Jiang Lu was several times more pitiful than Jiang Chen. In terms of talent, Jiang Lu would probably not be able to step into the Tao realm in this lifetime. However, Jiang Chen's soul was reincarnated, and since he occupied this body, he was a member of the Jiang family. As for Jiang Lu, Jiang Chen's previous owner, the two were brothers made of iron. Although the soul of this body was replaced by Jiang Chen after the rebirth. However, Jiang Chen had merged with the memories of this body. Therefore, Jiang Chen would not forget Jiang Lu, this little fatty, and would not put on a high and mighty attitude in front of Jiang Lu. Jiang Chen, I feel that you have changed, Jiang Lu muttered. In the past, you and I were the same. Yes. Jiang Chen smiled and said, In the past, you and I were not only called trash in the family, but after coming to the Chuanzuan sect, we were still known as trash by everyone. But now, I am different, Jiang Chen said. Hearing this, Jiang Lu's expression could not help but dim a little. Jiang Chen had changed, but he, Jiang Lu, had not. Even Jiang Lu himself despised his own innate aptitude. Until now, I have only opened 3 spirit veins. In this lifetime, I am afraid that I will not be able to step into the Tao realm. Jiang Lu sighed. I really want to step into the Tao realm, see the rivers and rivers fly in the sky and burrow into the earth, and see the world's scenery. If you want to fly in the sky and burrow into the earth, you can only step into the Tao realm. Ordinary martial arts cultivator's lifelong dream is to become a Tao realm cultivator. Just stepping into the Tao realm? Jiang Chen smiled and patted Jiang Lu's shoulder, saying, I think your achievements are more than that. As soon as these words came out, Jiang Lu smiled bitterly. He knew better than anyone how bad his talent was. In his eyes, Jiang Chen's words were undoubtedly comforting him. One had to know that Jiang Lu's spiritual vein was like a boulder. It was very difficult to open it. For an ordinary person to open a spirit vein, it might take 10 days to half a month, or even a few months. As for Jiang Lu, it took him a year to open his first spirit vein. The spirit meridians in his body could be said to be indestructible and difficult to open. The sacred body of the primordial era, whose spiritual meridians are like locks, has appeared several times since ancient times, but none of them knew how to unlock them. Over time, the sacred body of the primordial era became the world's most useless body. Jiang Chen whispered. His eyes flashed as he stared at Jiang Lu and said, And you are the sacred body of antiquity. Ah, I have a holy physique. Jiang Lu exclaimed, his face full of excitement. But soon, Jiang Lu's eyes dimmed, and the smile on his face disappeared. If one did not know how to unlock the sacred body of the immemorial era, it would be the most useless body in the world. It would be very difficult to cultivate. So what if I have a sacred body? If I don't know how to unlock, I'm still useless. Jiang Lu smiled bitterly. In the entire solitary North City, and even the Eastern Wilderness, there are no more than 3 people who know how to activate the sacred body of the immemorial era. Jiang Chen smiled mockingly and said, And I happen to be one of them. Jiang Lu could not help but widen his eyes. He believed in Jiang Chen's words. He had always believed in them. But he did not know why Jiang Chen knew how to activate the sacred body of the immemorial era. Later, I will make you a pill. If you can survive after taking it, you can activate the sacred body of the immemorial era. Otherwise, you will die, Jiang Chen said in a low voice. A pill could activate the sacred body of the immemorial era. It seemed simple, but in reality, it was very risky. Once the pill took effect, it would destroy Jiang Lu's meridians and even his spiritual meridians. During this period, if Jiang Chen could not survive, he would die. Do you dare to gamble with your life? Jiang Chen asked. Why wouldn't I dare? Jiang Lu's eyes narrowed. Although everyone knows that I'm useless, I don't want to live like this forever. If there's a chance to change all of this, I don't mind risking my life. Okay, I'll look for you when the time comes. Jiang Chen nodded. Then, Jiang Lu left, and Jiang Chen began to refine the pills. Since this group of alchemists had joined Xuanzhen's sect, there were all kinds of herbs in the alchemy room. Jiang Chen had no idea where these alchemists had gotten the herbs. Jiang Chen even saw a spiritual blood herb. It's a pity that I can't use the spiritual blood herb now, Jiang Chen whispered. After picking a few herbs, he began to refine the pills. A group of alchemists had already gathered around. Not only did they want to see Jiang Chen's alchemy skills, but they also wanted Jiang Chen's advice. Grandmaster, what kind of pills are you going to refine this time? Grandmaster, the 4 directions pill concoction technique is too difficult. Among us, there are only 3 people who have mastered the 4 directions pill concoction technique. Do you have any higher-end pill concoction techniques that are easier to cultivate? Listening to the voices around him, Jiang Chen nodded and said, yes. Then, Jiang Chen no longer said anything and began to refine the pills using the 4 directions alchemy technique. After a dozen breaths, when a profound level pill came out of the furnace, exclamations sounded one after another. But compared to before, the exclamations now were obviously much softer. After all, this group of alchemists could be considered experienced and knowledgeable now. Even if Jiang Chun refined a higher-level pill, they wouldn't be surprised. Tong sang, "Come to the main hall later. I'll write a collection of alchemy techniques. You can take it and study it with them." Jiang Chun said, "By the way, help me get some herbs. I want to refine a pill for Jiang Lu." "Okay, I'll listen to Grandmaster's arrangements." Tong sang nodded. Then, Jiang Chun left and returned to the main hall. The formation that he had asked Lu Shan to set up was already completed. "Now that I have the formation and the pill, it's time to condense the stars," Jiang Chun said softly. After activating the formation and consuming the pill, he sat down cross-legged and calmed his mind. Buzz! Then, with a loud buzz, Jiang Chun's body trembled. The true qi in his body was like a tsunami, roaring crazily. The 36 spirit veins in his body were like dragons, intertwining and merging with each other. During this time, waves of piercing pain swept through his body, as if his body was about to explode, especially when the spirit veins collided with each other. The true qi in his body was like a sharp sword, cutting Jiang Chun's internal organs. If not for the formation protecting his body and the pill, Jiang Chun wouldn't have been able to hold on. Fortunately, Jiang Chun was well prepared. Moreover, he had the experience of his previous life. After half an incense stick's time, when a roar came from Jiang Chun's body, the 36 spirit veins converged and turned into a hexagram. Looking into his body, he saw that the spirit veins in Jiang Chun's body had all disappeared. However, in his dantian, a ball of light like a star was flickering. Streams of true qi suddenly gushed out from this star, growing and multiplying endlessly. This was the heavenly star. From now on, as long as the heavenly star is not broken, true qi will never run out, Jiang Chun said softly. When he opened and closed his eyes, there seemed to be a ray of starlight flowing in the depths of his eyes. Chapter 23. From the reincarnation of his soul to the present, Jiang Chun had spent a lot of time on the nine-caral star. Otherwise, Jiang Chun would have entered the body realm long ago if he had followed his usual cultivation method. Fortunately, as long as the heavenly star was formed, all his efforts would be worth it. From now on, Jiang Chun did not have to worry about running out of true qi when he fought with others. As long as he was still alive and had a breath of life, he could continue to fight. Bone cleansing. Condense. After condensing the heavenly star, Jiang Chun made some slight adjustments. Then, true qi burst out from the heavenly star like a flood. True qi swept and flowed through his limbs and bones like a raging fire. The impurities in his body were refined and expelled from his body. Half an hour later, a layer of black dirt appeared on Jiang Chun's body and emitted a foul stench. These were the impurities in his body that were previously blocked and hidden in various parts of his body. Now, under the cleansing of his true qi, these impurities naturally could not stay in his body. At the same time, if one took a closer look, they would find Jiang Chun's skin was shining under the layer of black dirt. It was as flawless as an ice crystal. At the same time, the essence, qi, and spirit in his body were also growing rapidly. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn had passed, Jiang Chun felt a sharp pain coming from his body. "No hurry, take it slow," Jiang Chun thought to himself. He could not rush until he had cleansed his bones. Otherwise, his body would not be able to withstand it and collapse. After the spirit realm was the body realm. The body realm was to cleanse one's bones and enhance one's essence, qi, and spirit while removing the impurities in the body. And now, after Jiang Chun's cultivation, the essence, qi, and spirit in his body had increased by a large amount. "I still haven't entered the body realm and haven't condensed a single drop of essence blood," Jiang Chun said softly. Cleansing one's bones and strengthening one's essence, qi, and spirit would allow one to enter the body realm. The symbol of entering the body realm was to condense essence blood in the heart. Condensing a drop of essence blood would allow one to enter the body realm and become a low-level body realm cultivator. For cultivators with essence blood, the physical strength of their bodies would far surpass that of ordinary people. However, condensing blood essence was extremely difficult. Only 10,000 drops of blood would be able to condense it. No matter how fast Jiang Chen's cultivation speed was, it was impossible for him to step into the physique realm in one step. Furthermore, Jiang Chen was only cultivating for a while and did not intend to step into the physique realm at this moment. The 9 Carol Star can be considered the strongest technique of the spirit realm. Jiang Chen said softly, as for the strongest physical body realm technique, if I remember correctly, it should be the Darkness Master God's endless formula, right? Thinking of this, Jiang Chen couldn't help but search through his memories. Then, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. The Darkness Master God had once been friends with Jiang Chen through life and death. The two of them had often discussed the Tao in the 9 Firmaments Divine Palace. Thus, Jiang Chen knew how to cultivate the endless formula. He had thought that it would be impossible for him to cultivate the infinity formula for the rest of his life. But who would have thought that he would be reborn? Since he was reborn, he naturally wanted the best. Every stage must be cultivated to the highest level. I want every technique to be the best, Jiang Chen thought to himself. However, what made Jiang Chen speechless was that the difficulty of cultivating the infinity formula was no less than the 9 Carol Star. In fact, it was even above the 9 Carol Star. The conditions for cultivating the infinity formula were harsh. It even required lightning to refine one's body. Where can I find lightning to strike me in the clear sky? Jiang Chen smiled bitterly. He thought that if he were to cultivate the infinity formula in the future, he would probably be treated as a masochist by others. Looks like I can only carve talismans to attract lightning. Jiang Chen thought for a while. If he wanted to attract lightning under the clear sky, according to Jiang Chen's current strength, there were only 2 ways. The first was to set up the lightning guiding formation. However, the materials required for the lightning guiding formation were too many and too complicated to set up. Jiang Chen could not be bothered to waste time. The most important thing was that the materials for setting up the lightning guiding formation were too expensive. As for Jiang Chen, he was too poor. The second was to carve talismans. Although it took a long time, it was cheap to carve talismans. After a short rest, Jiang Chen brought over a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. He roughly wrote down his alchemy insights into a small booklet and let Tong Sang take it. After that, he wrote another book about array formations and gave it to Lu Shan for a group of array formation masters to comprehend. Finally, Jiang Chen came to the elixir pavilion. Where are the herbs that I asked you to prepare? Jiang Chen asked. It's all ready, but one of the herbs was not found. We also went back to the elixir pavilion, but there was no such herb in the elixir pavilion. Tong Sang's expression was slightly awkward, seemingly because he could not complete the task that Jiang Chen had instructed him to do. Which one are you lacking? Jiang Chen asked. Blazing flame grass. Tong Sang said, this herb is even rarer than blood spirit grass. In this area near Qingyan Town, it seems that only the Sunset Forest south of Qingyan Town has it. However, there were many demon beasts in the Sunset Forest, and there were even Tao Realm demon kings. Under normal circumstances, very few people would enter the Sunset Forest. Only the monster hunters and disciples of the various sects who went out for training would enter. According to what Tong Sang and the others knew, there was indeed blazing flame grass in the Sunset Forest, but it was in the depths of the forest. In that place, the demon beasts were very high level. Even monster hunters would not easily set foot in that place. The slightest carelessness would cause one to be devoured by the demon beasts. Without blazing flame grass, there is no way to refine the flame breaker pill, and Zhanglu's saint body of the ancients cannot be unlocked. Jiang Chen frowned, then stood up and turned to leave. Master, where are you going? Tong Sang hurriedly asked. However, Jiang Chen waved his hand and did not answer. Tong Sang and the others also understood that Jiang Chen was most likely going to the Sunset Forest. Master, I'll go with you. Tong Sang hurriedly caught up No need. Jiang Chen shook his head. Although Tong Sang's cultivation was quite high at the lower level of the origin realm, any random demon beast in the depths of the Sunset Forest was stronger than Tong Sang. To tell the truth, Jiang Chen felt that Tong Sang would be a burden if he followed. Moreover, Jiang Chen had many secrets on him to begin with. When he went to the Sunset Forest this time and faced high-level demon beasts, some of his secrets were bound to be exposed. If there was someone following him, how would he be able to keep these secrets? At that time, if some of his secrets were leaked, it would cause a lot of trouble. You all cultivate well in the Chuanzuan sect and comprehend Pil Dao, Jiang Chen said, then mounted a spirit horse and left the Chuanzuan sect. The spirit horse was very fast, and Jiang Chen arrived at Qingyan town after the time it took for a stick of incense to burn. To the south was the Sunset Forest. Chuanzuan sect head, stinking brat. At this moment, before Jiang Chen could enter the Sunset Forest, two angry shouts sounded from the gates of Qingyan town. There was even a trace of resentment in the voices. Who are you? Jiang Chen looked back and saw a middle-aged man and a middle-aged woman dashing towards him at high speed. What are you trying to do by abducting a pill master of my pill pavilion? I wanted to go to the Chuanzuan sect to find you, but you delivered yourself to my doorstep. The middle-aged man's face was dark, but there was a trace of resentment in his eyes, like a resentful wife who had been bullied. Chapter 24. Jiang Chen was a little confused. He didn't know the two people in front of him at all, especially the middle-aged man's resentful look. Jiang Chen's hair stood on end. Little brother, aren't you going overboard by doing this? The middle-aged woman's face was gloomy. It's bad enough that you abducted more than half of the alchemists from the Elixir Pavilion. Why did you abduct all the array masters from the array pavilion to your Chuanzuan sect? Abducted? Jiang Chen was relieved when he heard that. The two people in front of him were most likely from the array pavilion and Elixir Pavilion. Now, they were here to ask for people. However, Jiang Chen's face was indifferent. There was a hint of mockery on his face as he chuckled. Why would I abduct them? They volunteered to go to my Chuanzuan sect. If you don't believe me, you can go to the Chuanzuan sect to find them and ask if they're willing to come back. The middle-aged man opened his mouth, but suddenly didn't know what to say. Moreover, the resentment in his eyes was even more intense. It's fine if you abducted others, but you abducted the pavilion master of the Array Pavilion and Elixir Pavilion in Qingyan town. The middle-aged woman said coldly. Now that the two pavilion masters are not here, there's no one guarding the Array Pavilion in Qingyan town. If the higher-ups investigate this matter, the Chuanzuan sect will be in serious trouble. Jiang Chen nodded to himself when he heard that. However, they were already in the Chuanzuan sect. Jiang Chen couldn't do anything about it. Moreover, Lu Shan, Tong Sang, and a group of alchemists and array masters were there. Even if Jiang Chen wanted to chase them away, he probably couldn't. How about this? Let Pavilion Master Tong Sang come back and hold the fort. I'll go to the Chuanzuan sect. That's what I meant too. At this moment, the two of them looked serious. They seemed to be thinking for the Array Pavilion and Elixir Pavilion, but also for the Chuanzuan sect. However, Jiang Chen's lips curled up slightly when he heard that. He almost laughed out loud. If you want to go to the Chuanzuan sect, then go. Why find so many excuses and reasons? Jiang Chen smiled. Joining the Chuanzuan sect doesn't mean you're leaving the Array Pavilion and Elixir Pavilion. Really? Then, I'll go now. The two of them hurriedly said with a hint of excitement in their eyes. As Jiang Chen had said, the man and the woman had stopped Jiang Chen here not because they wanted to make things difficult for him, but because they wanted to enter the Chuanzuan school. It was because today, Lu Shan and Tong Sang often returned to Qingyan town to purchase medicinal herbs and array materials. At the same time, those who remained in the Array Pavilion and Elixir Pavilion learned about Jiang Chen's deeds from Lu Shan and Tong Sang. Especially those pill recipes, the lost alchemy techniques, the 9 minor mysterious formations that surpassed the heaven rank, and those array diagrams. All of this attracted the attention of the people who were still in the Pill Pavilion and Array Pavilion. In fact, some pill alchemists and formation masters were planning to leave the pill pavilion and formation pavilion to join the Chuanzuan sect. As the saying goes, the one who strikes first gains the advantage. Those who enter the sect first will always receive better treatment. As such, the two people in front of him were naturally leaving first. You can go to the Chuanzuan sect yourselves, Zhang Chen said softly. But first, you have to pay rent to join the Chuanzuan sect. You just have to bring some things over. Otherwise, I can't take it if you freeload in the Chuanzuan sect. As soon as he said that, the two people in front of him were in a mess. They knew Jiang Chen's identity as the sect master of the Chuanzuan sect. Therefore, they really could not imagine why a sect master would be so stingy. So stingy. I'm the deputy pavilion master of the Pill Pavilion in Qingyan Town. He's the deputy pavilion master of the Array Pavilion. The two of us still have to pay rent to go to the Chuanzuan sect. The middle-aged man frowned and was a little displeased. If you don't want to pay, then don't go, Jiang Chun said mockingly. Even Lu Shan and Tong Sang have to pay rent to join the Chuanzuan sect. You two deputy pavilion masters want to enter for free? What do you take the Chuanzuan sect for? As soon as he said that, the two people immediately fell silent. To be honest, they did not expect that their pavilion master would have to pay rent to join the Chuanzuan sect. So, since the pavilion master had already paid, how could the two deputy pavilion masters not pay? In that case, we'll pay. Then, the two people left, but they did not go directly to the Chuanzuan sect. Instead, they returned to Qingyan Town first. Zhang Chen did not think much of it. He turned and walked towards the sunset forest in the south. Along the way, Zhang Chen met several groups of people. These people were dressed very casually, but each of them had a bloody and murderous aura. Monster hunters? Zhang Chen thought to himself. He could not help but take a few steps to the side. He did not want to walk with this group of monster hunters. After all, in the eyes of monster hunters, only benefits were king. For benefits, they would do anything regardless of right or wrong. As long as it was beneficial to them, they would attack and even kill. Jiang Chun had once ascended the throne and became the king of gods. Although his hands were stained with blood, he would not kill the innocent. Monster hunters were different. In their eyes, everything could be killed. Little brother, are you going to the sunset forest alone? At this moment, a group of people walked over from not far away. The leader was a one-eyed, burly man. He was shirtless and had a strong, murderous aura. In particular, when he looked at Zhang Chun, his eyes flashed with greed. What does it have to do with you? Zhang Chun was unwilling to pay attention to him. After whispering, he continued forward. However, after a few steps, this group of people caught up and stopped Zhang Chun. What's the matter? Zhang Chun frowned. Although he was unwilling to deal with monster hunters, it seemed that it would be a little difficult now. A straightforward person does not resort to insinuations. It's robbery. The one-eyed, burly man in the lead narrowed his eyes and sneered. A brat in the upper position of the spirit realm dares to come here alone. What a good piece of meat sent to the door. Robbery? Then go ahead and rob me. Jiang Chen curled his lips, a trace of disdain flashing through his eyes. This group of people did not have high cultivation realms. The one-eyed, burly man in the lead was only in the lower position of the body realm. With this level of cultivation, you dare to rob us? Since you are young, hand over your valuables, and we will let you go. The one-eyed, burly man said. Be obedient and avoid physical pain. You have poor taste. Jiang Chen face-bombed. He really couldn't understand why this group of monster hunters would rob him. One had to know that Jiang Chen was really poor. Moreover, of all people to rob, why did you rob Tianqin God King? This, your foresight is too unique, isn't it? Cut the crap. Hand it over. Boss, don't waste words with him. Let's do it. At this moment, several upper-position spirit realm monster hunters behind the one-eyed, burly man spoke up, looking impatient. As they spoke, one of them stepped forward. True chi flowed on the surface of his body, and gusts of wind howled from his body. How dare you? How dare you rob in broad daylight? However, just as Jiang Chun was about to attack, an angry roar came from afar. Then, a sword light like the light of the stars flashed and pierced through the man's chest. Chapter 25. The cold light of the sword was like the brilliance of the stars. The demon hunter, who was charging towards Jiang Chen, died on the spot. At the same time, 3 youths walked over from afar. 2 males and 1 female. One of them was dressed in white with a purple crown on his head. He was quite handsome. The sword gleam from before was slashed out by this young man. The other youth walked in front. His face was slightly pale, but he was extremely handsome, even a little devilish. However, there was a trace of arrogance in this youth's eyes. Especially when he looked at the group of demon hunters. There was a trace of contempt and disdain in his eyes that was not concealed at all. Even when he looked at Jiang Chen, that arrogance was still fully displayed. As for the female, she looked rather ordinary, but her figure was extremely hot. Especially the pair of peaks in front of her chest. They were simply towering into the clouds. Star Sword Sect Disciples? Star Sword Sect Disciples. It's 300 miles away from Sunset Forest. What are they doing here? The group of demon hunters frowned. When they looked at the 3 youths, a trace of fear flashed in their eyes. Without waiting for the 3 from Star Sword Sect to come closer, the one-eyed man waved his hand. With a dark face, he turned around and left with his group of subordinates. This was because although Star Sword Sect was very far from Sunset Forest, it was very famous and was even a 7th-rate sect. Its disciples would often come out to train, and all the disciples who came out to train were very strong, just like the 3 Star Sword Sect disciples in front of them. The weakest was the female, but her cultivation had reached the upper level of the body realm. As for the youth in the lead, his cultivation had reached the middle level of the mind realm. With the strength of the 3, the one-eyed man naturally did not dare to stay. "Are you all right?" At this moment, the white-clothed youth walked over with a gentle smile and asked Jiang Chen. "I'm fine." Jiang Chen shook his head and said, "Thank you." "Umph. With this little cultivation, you dare to come to Sunset Forest? Even if you don't die in the hands of demon beasts, you'll die in the hands of those demon hunters." The youth in the lead said with contempt, "Chu Yuan, next time you encounter something like this, it's best not to interfere. It's a waste of time. Senior brother Lin Mo, sword cultivators have always been righteous. If I had not acted, he would have been killed." The white-clothed youth, Chu Yuan, said, "What's done is done. You can't blame others for being too weak," said the leader of the group, Lin Mo. As soon as Lin Mo said that, Chu Yuan immediately fell silent. It was obvious that Chu Yuan was afraid of Lin Mo and didn't dare to say much. "Senior brother Lin Mo, Master asked us to come out and train. He also asked us to pick a stalk of raging flame grass." The woman frowned. The raging flame grass grows in the depths of Sunset Forest, and the journey is dangerous. Why don't we bring a few more people and take care of each other so that we can get the raging flame grass earlier? With this level of cultivation, you want to bring him along? You're sending him to his death. Lin Mo said disdainfully as he walked past Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen didn't care about this at all. He waited for a while until Lin Mo and the others were far away. Only then did Jiang Chen move forward. He's only in the middle level of the thought state. How can he be so arrogant? Jiang Chen thought to himself. He shook his head, speechless. Perhaps others didn't know what was in Sunset Forest, but Jiang Chen knew it very well. There were many monsters in the periphery of Sunset Forest, and there were even Taoist realm monster kings guarding it. In the depths of Sunset Forest, the monsters there were as powerful as human cultivators. Monsters of this level were like thunder and rain when they attacked. If a mere thought state cultivator entered the depths of Sunset Forest and provoked those monsters, he would definitely be killed. What made Jiang Chen speechless was that Lin Mo and the other 2 had come to Sunset Forest for the same purpose as him, the raging flame grass. Fine. Since Chu Yuan helped me, I'll protect you this time." Jiang Chen sighed and followed the 3 of them from a distance of about 1,000 meters. Half a day later, when Jiang Chen passed through a small forest, the light in front of him suddenly dimmed. The trees around him grew taller and taller until they covered the sky. From here onwards, he was considered to have stepped into the boundary of Sunset Forest. Boom! Boom! They continued forward. Before long, the sounds of battle could be heard ahead of them. Jiang Qin's eyes flashed. He gathered his true qi and looked over 1,000 meters. He saw Lin Mo and the other two fighting a monster in the upper level of the physique realm. Given their cultivation, a monster in the upper level of the physique realm naturally couldn't hurt them. However, when Jiang Qin saw the monster, he silently wiped away the cold sweat on Lin Mo and the other two's behalf. The monster was shaped like a bull. It had 3 horns on its head and black scales all over its body. Its tail was flat, and there was a wisp of green fire at the tip of its tail. This monster was a blue fire jade bull. It wasn't strong, but it was a herd monster. Are they really stupid or ignorant? Since there's one blue fire jade bull, there must be others around. Jiang Qin muttered. If you continue fighting and wait for the other blue fire jade bulls to rush over, the 3 of you will be exhausted to death. However, Lin Mo and the other 2 had been cultivating in Star Sword Sect and didn't know much about monsters. Therefore, they naturally didn't think much of a blue fire jade bull in the upper level of the physique realm, much less retreat. Moo! Moo! After a dozen breaths, just as the blue fire jade bull fell, the sound of bulls roaring could be heard all around them. In 3 breaths, the trees in the distance collapsed and debris flew everywhere. Another 3 breaths later, more than 30 blue fire jade bulls appeared and surrounded Lin Mo and the other 2. At this moment, Lin Mo and the other 2's expressions changed drastically, especially the girl. Her delicate body was trembling. Blue fire jade bull king, middle level of the thought realm. Jiang Qin wiped away the cold sweat on Lin Mo and the other 2's behalf when he saw the blue fire jade bull in the lead. A blue fire jade bull king in the middle level of the thought realm was enough to kill Lin Mo and the other 2. Moreover, there were more than 30 blue fire jade bulls around them. Under normal circumstances, Lin Mo and the other 2 would be dead without a doubt. At this moment, Jiang Qin no longer hesitated. The stars in his body exploded, and his true qi gushed out like a river. A gust of wind seemed to appear under his feet. It took Jiang Qin only 3 breaths to cross the distance of 1,000 meters. Why are you here? Hurry up and leave. Chu Yuan was stunned. He didn't expect to meet Jiang Qin at this time. Scram, are you here to die? Lin Mo shouted angrily. Don't cause trouble. If you die, I won't help you choose a grave and carve a tombstone. Hearing their words, Jiang Qin's lips curled up slightly. He looked at Lin Mo and said, You're not bad, but your mouth is a little foul. You, why aren't you leaving? A herd of blue fire jade bulls and a bull king. We don't have time to protect you, Lin Mo said coldly. A gentle true qi burst out from his palm, trying to push Jiang Qin far away. Chapter 26. Although Lin Mo was proud and aloof, he was not a bad person. Just like now, when faced with a herd of blue fire jade bulls, his first thought was to ask Jiang Qin to leave first. However, if Jiang Qin left, Lin Mo and the other 2 would die without a doubt. After all, the blue fire jade bull king was not to be trifled with. Have you ever heard of the saying, good people get good karma? Jiang Qin chuckled and moved sideways, dodging Lin Mo's attack. Then he took a step forward and stood in front of Lin Mo and the other 2. What are you doing? Are you trying to get yourself killed? Lin Mo and the other 2 were shocked. Chu Yuan rushed forward, trying to pull Jiang Qin back. Moo! However, as soon as Chu Yuan took a step forward, the blue fire jade bull king let out a roar, and a green flame fell in front of Jiang Qin like a canopy. 9 words of battle, defense like a mountain. Jiang Qin's eyes narrowed, and the true qi in his body burst out. The genuine energy condensed and turned into a bell in an instant. There was also the shadow of a mountain behind Jiang Qin. Boom! In the next second, the green flame fell and collided with the bell formed by true qi. The flames danced and the golden light exploded, and the sound of a bell was heard. However, the blue fire jade bull king's cultivation was much higher than Jiang Qin's. Even if Jiang Qin used a divine skill, he could not block the flame. The true chi bell only lasted for 3 breaths of time before it shattered. Run! Lin Mo glared, and the green sword in his hand vibrated, sending out rays of sword chi. However, the flame was too fierce, and the green light burst out as if it could melt everything. The sword chi rushed into the green flame, but it was like throwing stones into the sea. There was no reaction at all. It's just an evil creature. How can it hurt me? Jiang Chun was very calm. Even though the bell of genuine energy had been broken, so what? It was just a wisp of his genuine energy. Boom! In the next moment, the green flames surged again, as if wanting to drown and burn everything in the surroundings. However, when the flames fell, the illusory mountain behind Jiang Chun suddenly shook. It was as if a great force of heaven and earth had gathered together. Strong winds blew in all directions, and the color of thick earth burst forth. The blazing green flames soared into the sky, but the moment they collided with the illusory mountain, they were shattered and turned into a rain of green light, which then dissipated into nothingness. Puff! At this moment, Jiang Chen's face paled. After all, his cultivation was too low, and the difference between him and the Blue Fire Jade Bull King was too great. Fortunately, he managed to hold on to this flame, still not leaving. Let's go! Behind them, Lin Mo and the other two exclaimed. However, they soon realized that they were surrounded by Blue Fire Jade Bulls. It was too late for them to escape. Moreover, since Jiang Chun had made a move, he had no intention of retreating. Seal of all beasts. At this moment, a bright light burst out from Jiang Chen's eyes. His hands formed seals repeatedly, and the essential chi in his body was vast and mighty, but it turned into wisps of mist in front of him. The mist condensed, and in a few breaths, it turned into a rune. The rune jumped and flickered with divine light, and a terrifying pressure spread out from the rune. What is this? Seal of all beasts? This is the Beast King's sex ultimate skill? Lin Mo and the other two exclaimed and widened their eyes. They could not believe that Jiang Chen actually knew the seal of all beasts. This was a skill that was not passed down to outsiders from the first-rate sect on the godless continent. Once the seal was used, all beasts in the world would have to submit. Moo! Moo! At this moment, the Blue Fire Jade Bulls around them let out roars, but they no longer attacked Jiang Chun and the others. The Blue Fire Jade Bull King stood on the spot, and a hint of struggle flashed through its bell-like eyes. It was fighting against the seal of all beasts, and it wanted to break free from its pressure. Unfortunately, the seal of all beasts targeted all demonic beasts and ferocious beasts in the world. Even a demon king or a beast king would have to submit in front of the seal of all beasts. Let's go, Jiang Chen said softly and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He smiled and said, My cultivation is too weak, and the seal of all beasts won't last long. If we can leave the Blue Fire Jade Bull's territory in 30 breaths, we can live. What if we don't leave? The woman asked. Jiang Chen rolled his eyes and said snappily, Big breasts but no brains. If we don't leave, we'll die together. Let's go. As soon as he said that, Lin Mo and Chu Yuan reacted quickly. With a soft shout, Lin Mo carried Jiang Chen on his back, and the 4 of them rushed backward. Forward, Jiang Chen hurriedly said, I still have to go deeper into the Sunset Forest. Why are you still going deeper into the Sunset Forest when you're seriously injured? Do you want to die? Lin Mo's words were as unpleasant as ever. However, Jiang Chen knew that this fellow's mouth was a little foul, but his heart was very kind. If I want to die, no one can stop me. If I want to live, I'll live as long as the heavens. Jiang Chen said softly and lay on Lin Mo's back. He said mockingly, Hurry up. Forget it, we're going deeper into the Sunset Forest too. We'll go the same way, Lin Mo said softly and led the way forward. Lin Mo and the others were very fast. In 30 breaths, they had already traveled more than 15 kilometers and left the Blue Fire Jade Bull's territory. We're safe, Jiang Chen chuckled. A human-shaped mount? What? Lin Mo was stunned. He didn't know what Jiang Chen meant by human-shaped mount. However, Lin Mo quickly came to his senses. It was only now that he realized that although Jiang Chen looked pale and spat out blood earlier, in reality, he wasn't seriously injured at all. That was just blood seeping out of his chi and blood. To a cultivator, that wasn't even considered a wound. You made me carry you on purpose? You think I'm your mount? Lin Mo flew into a rage. He threw Jiang Chen off his back. The cyan sword in his hand was emitting a radiance. Senior brother, when Chu Yuan saw this, he hurriedly rushed over and stopped Lin Mo. He said softly, Senior brother, if we really fight, we might not be a match for him. Lin Mo also realized what was going on. After all, for someone who could block the Blue Fire Jade Bull King's attack, it didn't matter how low his cultivation was. Moreover, Lin Mo also understood that Jiang Chen's martial techniques were extraordinary. He shouldn't be an ordinary person. Kid, I saved your lives, and now you're going to attack me? Jiang Chen laughed. Thank you for saving our lives. Thank you. Lin Mo's expression was ugly, but he still thanked Jiang Chen. However, Lin Mo felt very uncomfortable. Even though he was in the mental state, he couldn't raise his head in front of Jiang Chen, a spirit realm cultivator. It was as if he was being suppressed. Disciples of the Star Sword sect, why have you come all the way to the Sunset Forest? Just for the blazed grass? Jiang Chen looked up and stared at Lin Mo and the others, confusion flashing in his eyes. Chapter 27. Star Sword Sect was a full 300 miles away from Sunset Forest. Star Sword Sect had sent 3 disciples from such a far distance. Was it really for the raging flame grass? Jiang Chen didn't think so. Star Sword Sect was a 7th-rate sect. Jiang Chen didn't think that a 7th-rate sect didn't even have a single raging flame grass. Then, for them to come all the way here and only send 3 disciples whose realms weren't very high, what was the secret behind this? Since you saved us before, I'll tell you. Lin Mo frowned and thought for a moment before saying, Star Sword Sect's vice sect leader entered Sunset Forest alone some time ago. After that, there was no news. So, you're here to find Star Sword Sect's vice sect leader? When Jiang Chen heard this, he immediately understood. The strength of a sect didn't depend on how many people it had, but on how many experts it had. If Star Sword Sect's vice sect leader died in Sunset Forest, if news of this spread out and other sects and the Martial Pavilion found out, Star Sword Sect would be in trouble. Putting aside Star Sword Sect's enemies, if the Martial Pavilion found out that Star Sword Sect had lost an expert, they would definitely reevaluate their ranking. At that time, Star Sword Sect might be demoted to an 8th-rate sect. Trees live for their bark, people live for their face, and sects live for their ranking. Star Sword Sect naturally couldn't make a big fuss for their reputation. They could only send disciples to Sunset Forest to investigate. What's the Star Sword Sect's vice sect leader's cultivation? Jiang Chen asked. Dao Realm, Stage 3. Lin Mo said with a hint of doubt in his eyes. When Jiang Chen heard this, he frowned and became suspicious. Sunset Forest had existed for a long time. 3,000 years ago, Jiang Chen had been here. He was very clear about the style of the Monster Kings in Sunset Forest. He also knew that the strongest Monster King in Sunset Forest was only Dao Realm Stage 5. These Monster Kings usually minded their own business with humans. Even if they entered the territory of the Monster Kings, these Monster Kings would basically turn a blind eye and wouldn't make a big fuss. Moreover, Dao Realm Stage 3 wasn't much different from Dao Realm Stage 5. Logically speaking, it was impossible for the Star Sword Sect's vice sect master to die in the Sunset Forest. That was because there was almost nothing in Sunset Forest that could threaten a Dao Realm Stage 3 cultivator. The sect master has always been doubtful. Given the vice sect master's cultivation, it shouldn't be possible for him to die here. Chu Yuan frowned. So, the sect master thinks that vice sect leader had an accident? Jiang Chen was relieved and said softly, but it's best to find your vice sect leader first. If he's alive, I want to see him. If he's dead, I want to see his corpse. Otherwise, we can't be sure that he's dead. As they spoke, the 4 of them continued forward. At the same time, Jiang Chen had another thought in his mind. As the saying goes, one may know a person for a long time without understanding their true nature. He could not completely believe the words of Lin Mo and the other two. Furthermore, he came to look for the Star Sword sect's vice sect leader. What did this have to do with Jiang Chun? Under normal circumstances, Jiang Chun would not have asked so clearly. However, when Jiang Chun saw the cyan sword in Lin Mo's hand, he realized the three people in front of him weren't as simple as they seemed. Maybe they were hiding something. A sword made of green goldwood. In a seventh-rate sect, it would probably be a sect treasure. Jiang Chun thought to himself, would an ordinary disciple have such a sword? Although he was thinking about it, Jiang Chun did not say anything. The four of them continued forward and did not speak along the way. Until 30 miles later, there was a small stream in front of them. After the stream, they were in the depths of the sunset forest. Along the way, other than a group of blue fire jade bulls, they did not meet any other monsters. We're already in the depths of the sunset forest. Let's part here. Lin Mo's eyes flashed, and he cupped his hands towards Jiang Chun. Goodbye. All right, goodbye. Jiang Chun smiled and did not say anything else. Then Lin Mo and the other two left. Jiang Chun stayed where he was for a while before he got up and continued forward. After crossing the stream, Jiang Chun continued for another 10 miles before he suddenly stopped. This was because the air around him was filled with the smell of blood. Moreover, Jiang Chun saw a few human corpses in the bushes ahead. There were also a few monster corpses beside them. All the blood in their bodies has disappeared. Jiang Chun frowned. After glancing at the corpses, he knew that something big must have happened in the sunset forest. Along the way, he did not see any monsters. Now, these corpses seem to have been sucked dry of blood. Interesting. I haven't entered the sunset forest for 3,000 years. Now that I'm here, I've encountered something strange? Jiang Chun muttered and continued forward. After another 10 miles, the sound of fighting suddenly came from ahead. Shengwu sect. After a few breaths, when Jiang Chun arrived at the scene of the fight, he saw a group of Shengwu sect disciples besieging a masked woman. Beside them, 6 Shengwu sect disciples were lying on the ground, dead. Their deaths were the same as the previous corpses. They were also sucked dry of blood, which you killed people and sucked their blood to cultivate the demonic art. You deserve death. Kill. At this moment, the group of Shengwu sect disciples shouted angrily, but did not attack. They surrounded the masked woman and shouted angrily, but there was a trace of fear in their eyes. Demonic art? What is a demonic art? The masked woman's voice was cold. Moreover, I didn't kill these people. They were already dead before I came here. You don't dare to admit that you killed people? A Shengwu sect disciple said coldly. Even if you didn't kill these people, can you deny that you cultivated the demonic sky-devouring skill? There are all kinds of skills in the world. There is no such thing as good or evil. Since it exists, there is a reason. Since it exists, it can be cultivated. The masked woman said coldly, the magnificent martial sect may seem like a righteous sect, but what are you trying to do now? What are you trying to do? You just want my demonic sky-devouring skill. After I kill you, everything will belong to my Shengwu sect. Kill. The group of Shengwu sect disciples shouted angrily, but none of them dared to attack. At the same time, Jiang Chun, who was not far away, suddenly tensed up. He could feel that an extremely cold and bloodthirsty aura was approaching. A group of people. Death is at hand, Jiang Chun whispered. He hid his aura and quietly hid in a pile of rocks, not daring to even breathe. This was because Jiang Chun could feel that the owner of the extremely cold and bloodthirsty aura was very strong. The lowest realm was Dao Realm Stage 9. Kikik. After a few breaths, a cold and unpleasant laughter sounded. Then, a man shrouded in black fog stepped on the bones on the ground and walked over from afar. His speed was not fast, as if he was taking a stroll. However, after 3 steps, he was already standing in front of the Shengwu sect disciples. Chapter 28. A gust of death aura, accompanied by a surging demonic aura, wantonly rose in this place. It was like a black wind, whistling in the air, causing the surrounding vegetation to wither. So strong. Tao Realm Stage 9. Demonic Cultivation Technique. Zhang Chen hid in the rubble. He already understood that what happened in Sunset Forest was most likely done by this person. There were many types of demonic cultivation techniques. The most famous one was the one that devoured the blood essence of others to cultivate. This kind of demonic cultivation technique belonged to the extreme Yin cultivation technique. As for the masked woman's devouring demonic skill, although it was also a demonic cultivation technique, it was not as sinister as this person's. Coincidence? Two people who cultivate demonic cultivation techniques appeared in Sunset Forest at the same time. Star Sword sect sent disciples from afar, and the people of Magnificent Martial sect also came. Jiang Chen thought to himself. He had a feeling that something big was about to happen in Sunset Forest. Zhongjiao, don't mess around. At this moment, the masked woman's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. Her cold voice was filled with anger. Junior sister, what do you mean by messing around? Zhongjiao said softly. His whole body was filled with demonic aura, and there were white bones under his feet. The disciples of the Magnificent Martial sect were all pale and trembling. Even when they faced Zhongjiao, the blood in their body was constantly flowing away. It was as if there was no need for Zhongjiao to make a move, and the blood in their body could not be preserved. Although the demonic cultivation technique belongs to the demonic path, good and evil can be divided in a single thought. You can't kill the innocent just because you cultivate the demonic cultivation technique, and you can't suck the blood essence of others. The masked woman shouted. However, Zhongjiao did not care at all. After a few chuckles, the demonic aura on his body burst out. It was like a black fog. Wherever it passed, the vegetation withered, and the energy of heaven and earth was robbed. In just a few breaths of time, the black fog descended and drowned the group of Magnificent Martial sect disciples. After a few breaths of time, when the black fog dissipated, the group of Magnificent Martial sect disciples were all dead. All the blood in their bodies was sucked clean. Their corpses were like dried corpses, without a trace of blood. Junior sister, why do you have to do this? Zhongjiao said sarcastically. You are also a disciple of the devil's doctrine. Do you think you are as pure and innocent as a white lotus? From the moment you entered the devil's sect, all whiteness and goodness had already left you. The masked woman became silent as she heard this. She firmly believed that although she was possessed, her heart was pure. She believed that the demonic arts she cultivated were not for demonic matters. This was a way to prove her Tao. However, as time passed and she gained more knowledge, her heart began to waver. She had clearly not done anything and had clearly not killed anyone. However, as long as the people of this world knew that she had cultivated the demonic heaven-devouring skill, they would treat her as a demon and wanted to kill her. In that case, what was the point of persevering and sticking to his own heart? I'm different from you. After a long time, the veiled woman finally spoke. Her voice was cold and emotionless as she said, when the setting sun divine miracle opens and I get what I want, I will leave the devil's sect. Leave the devil's sect? Can you do it? Zhongjiao said disdainfully. As the successor of the demonic heaven-devouring skill, there are some things that are beyond your control. Even if you want to leave, the devil's sect will not let you go. I don't need you to interfere in my own affairs, the veiled woman said coldly. Then she turned around and walked away. Zhongjiao stood there for a while and shrugged indifferently. Then his figure turned into a black fog and disappeared on the spot. At that moment, Jiang Chen was still hiding in the pile of rocks. However, there was a smile on his face. I see. The setting sun divine miracle has opened. No wonder the people of the devil's sect have appeared, Jiang Chen thought. The reason why this place was called the Setting Sun Forest was because there was an ancient divine miracle in the forest. According to legend, it was the place where the founder of the devil's sect, the Setting Sun Demon God, once lived. The inheritance of the Setting Sun Demon God was hidden inside. Whether it was in the past or now, the people of the devil's sect regarded the Setting Sun Demon God as their ancestor. As long as one was a member of the devil's sect, They would want to obtain the inheritance of the setting sun demon god. The Star Sword sect cultivates the boundless sword chi. They are a righteous sect. Now that they have sent their disciples here, I'm afraid they are not looking for the Star Sword sect's deputy sect master, but for the people of the Devil sect, Jiang Chun thought to himself. His thoughts were spinning as he slowly sorted out some things. Jiang Chun could even guess that the Star Sword sect and the prosperous martial arts sect weren't the only two sects in the vast Sunset Forest. There must be other orthodox sections. These sects most likely knew that the setting sun divine miracle was about to open. They came together not only for the setting sun divine miracle, but also to kill the people of the devil sect. What is a devil? What is Buddha? Good and evil are mixed up, and it is difficult to distinguish between good and evil. Just because one cultivates the devil sect, he is considered a devil? Then what is a cultivator who has stepped into the Buddhist sect with hands full of blood? Jiang Qin said softly. He shook his head slowly and sighed. As a divine king, Jiang Qin had seen many things and seen many people. He had once seen a great devil who sacrificed his life to save countless lives. He had also seen a person who was covered in Buddha's light. His hands were stained with blood, and his feet stepped on the corpses of the masses. Therefore, in Jiang Qin's eyes, Buddha and devil were just secular views. Let's go take a look. Half an hour later, when Jiang Chun was sure that Chongjiu had left, he got up and walked towards the deepest part of the setting sun forest. Jiang Chun naturally knew where the setting sun divine miracle was. Moreover, according to Jiang Chen's memories from his previous life, the raging flame grass grew not far from the setting sun divine miracle, so it was on the way. Of course, Jiang Chun was not interested in the setting sun divine miracle. After all, in his previous life, when Jiang Chun was still divine King Tian Shun, the setting sun divine demon was his subordinate. Jiang Chun was not interested in the cultivation techniques and inheritances of his subordinates. However, there was one thing that Jiang Chun was interested in now, and that was Chongjiu. What a lightning rod! If I can suppress him and bring him with me, I won't have to worry about not being struck by lightning, Jiang Chun said softly. People of the demonic Tao, like Chongjiu, were too murderous. They absorbed the blood essence of all living things in the world to cultivate, so they would be punished by the heavens. Therefore, Jiang Chun had thought of a way to suppress Chongjiu and bring him with him. He could use Chongjiu to attract the heavens' punishment and lightning. In this way, Jiang Chun did not need to set up arrays or carve talismans. He could cultivate the infinity technique just by relying on Chongjiu to attract the heavens' punishment and lightning. Jiang Chun kept moving forward, and when he had traveled 100 miles, he finally arrived near the sunset divine trace. Standing on the top of a towering ancient tree, Jiang Chun looked into the distance. There was a spacious area 3 miles away where a black fog soared into the sky. That was the place where the setting sun divine miracle was located. Star Sword sect, magnificent martial sect, 8 paths sect, martial pavilion, union assembly, there are so many people. Jiang Chun had a smile on his face when he saw that the area around the setting sun divine miracle was filled with people. It could be said that almost all the sects within 500 miles of solitary North City had arrived. Chapter 29. Seeing such a group of righteous sects gathered together, Jiang Chun shook his head. That was because the opening of the setting sun divine miracle would definitely attract people from the demonic sections. There would definitely be great demon-level experts among them. And the strongest cultivators sent by these sects were only at Tao Realm Stage 9. Their cultivation was only on par with Zhongjiu. Jiang Chun believed that there would definitely be people stronger than Zhongjiu from the demonic sects who would come here. In that case, how could they defend the setting sun divine miracle with just these people? Moreover, Jiang Chun did not believe that these so-called righteous sects came here just to protect the setting sun divine miracle. What righteous sects? When the setting sun divine miracle opens, they will probably be jealous of the setting sun divine miracle's inheritance. When the time comes, they will probably do something worse than the demonic sections. Jiang Chun curled his lips. Looking into the distance, Jiang Chun did not plan to go out just like that. After all, his cultivation base was too low. If he went out like this, his life and death would not be up to him. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, there was a series of explosions near the setting sun, divine miracle. Looking carefully, the people from Star Sword sect were actually fighting with the people from Magnificent Martial sect. Not long after, the Eight Paths sect and the Alliance also started fighting. Only the people of the Martial Pavilion stood to the side, staying out of the battle and not interfering. The setting sun divine miracle hasn't even opened, and they're already fighting. As expected, the so-called righteous sects are just superficial, Jiang Chun said with contempt. In front of the setting sun divine miracle and the inheritance of the setting sun divine miracle, the greed and evil in the hearts of these righteous sects were infinitely magnified. At this moment, the battle had begun, and the area around the setting sun divine miracle was already stained with blood. A bunch of ants? The setting sun divine miracle is not something you can touch. After about half an incense stick's time, when the four sects were fighting fiercely, a cold voice filled with demonic chi came from afar. Looking over, they saw Zhong Jiu alone, stepping on a white bone phantom, rushing over from afar. Wherever it passed, the plants would wither, and the beasts would lose their life force. A demonic aura even transformed into a gust of wind that swept toward the group of cultivators ahead. Demonic sect's first disciple, Zhong Jiu. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Hurry up and die. The people from Star Sword sect, Eight Paths sect, Magnificent Martial sect, and the Union stopped fighting in an instant and shouted angrily at Zhong Jiu. The people of the Martial Pavilion even took a few steps forward. The true chi on their bodies was like a gust of wind. It howled and scattered the demonic chi of Zhong Jiu. You want to kill me, Zhong Jiu? Do you have the ability? Zhong Jiu laughed wildly. He stood in front of the people from the Martial Pavilion, but did not continue to attack. At the same time, the instant his words left his mouth, a black figure rushed over from the distance like a ghost. In the blink of an eye, everyone saw a white-haired elder appear beside Zhong Jiu. Great Elder of the Devil Sect, Mo Xingtian. Peak of Tao Realm Stage 9. What? Mo Xingtian? At this moment, other than the people from the Martial Pavilion, the expressions of the people from the other sects changed drastically, and fear appeared in their eyes. The demonic sect was the strongest demonic sect in the area of Solitary North City. As for Mo Xingtian, he was the great elder of the Devil Sect and was known as Mo Xingtian. Although his cultivation was also a Tao Realm Stage 9, he was only one step away from breaking through to the Tao Realm. It could be said that Mo Xingtian was the strongest among all the people present. I knew it. How could the demonic sect only send Zhong Jiu when the sunset divine miracle is open? Jiang Chun stood in the distance with a cold smile on his face. Even if the group of people in front of him all died, Jiang Chun would not even frown, because these people had nothing to do with him. Jiang Chun stood at the top of the ancient tree. He wanted to stay out of this and find a chance to pick the blazing flame grass. It would be best if he could suppress Zhong Jiu as well. However, Jiang Chen's wishful thinking did not work. An ant dares to look down on us? Mo Xingtian shouted angrily and sent out a palm across the air. Demonic chi surged like waves towards Jiang Chen. Oh, I've been discovered. Jiang Chen chuckled. He was not surprised at all. After all, in front of a Tao Realm Stage 9 expert, it was indeed difficult for Jiang Chen to hide his cultivation. At this moment, true chi surged out from Jiang Chen's body. It was like a golden bell that enveloped him. Behind him, the shadow of a mountain appeared, and a force of heaven and earth appeared. 9 words of battle. Defend like a mountain. Jiang Chen shouted. The bell and the demonic chi collided, and the sound of the bell reverberated in all directions. Then, the shadow of the mountain behind him shook, and the force of heaven and earth exploded, scattering the demonic chi from Mo Xingtian's attack. Force of heaven and earth? Who are you? Mo Xingtian frowned and looked at Jiang Chun with a hint of fear in his eyes. This was because the force of heaven and earth was not something an ordinary person could gather. and anyone who could use the force of heaven and earth must have an extremely high cultivation level. However, when Jiang Qin landed from the top of the tree and appeared in front of them, they were all dumbfounded. Even Mo Xingtian was stunned. He did not expect that the person who could gather the force of heaven and earth would be a brat in the upper position of the spirit realm. You flatter me. I'm just the Chuanzun sect leader, Jiang Chun. Jiang Qin smiled calmly. He arrived at the Sunset Divine Trace in a few steps. He stood in a triangle with the martial arts pavilion, Mo Xingtian, and the others. You're Jiang Chun? You're the one who dared to plant a seal in young master Sheng Linian's body? The group of people from the magnificent sect shouted angrily, especially the leader. When he looked at Jiang Chun, his eyes flashed with killing intent. This was because this person was the sect leader of the magnificent sect, Sheng Linian's father. If anything happens to my son, everyone in the magnificent sect will be buried with him. The sect leader of the magnificent sect, Sheng Jiang, stared at Jiang Chun. The spiritual energy in his body surged, and the aura of a Tao realm stage 3 pressed down on Jiang Chun. Sheng Linian's life is still in my hands. Do you dare to touch me? Jiang Chun said mockingly. He stood in place, not moving an inch. Hearing this, Sheng Jiang frowned. He then waved his hand, and the aura instantly disappeared. There are only 3 days left until the promise of 10 days. 3 days later, the magnificent sect will be destroyed, Sheng Jiang said coldly. For Sheng Linian's sake, he did not dare to touch Jiang Chun. You're just an ant, Zhong Jiu said softly. Without waiting for an explanation, he struck out with his palm. Demonic chi was like a sharp sword. It whistled through the air and headed straight for Jiang Chun. In Zhong Jiu's eyes, what was a little cultivator in the upper position of the spirit realm doing here? He was just an eyesore. Since he was an ant, killing him was just a matter of raising his hand. Aren't you afraid of being punished by the heavens for doing something that defies the heavens? Jiang Chun smiled. He raised his hand, and strands of true qi gathered. Then, the true qi formed a thin line in front of Jiang Chun. In just 3 breaths, a talisman was formed. Chapter 30. The talisman was like a bolt of purple lightning. The moment it was formed, the sky above the sunset miracle was already covered with dark clouds. At this moment, Chong Jiu and Mo Xingtian's expressions changed drastically, and their bodies trembled. When the rest of the people looked at Jiang Chun, their eyes flashed with shock and surprise. This was because talisman masters were rare. Only 1 out of thousands of cultivators could be born. A talisman master was a treasure-level figure to any sect. A powerful talisman master was able to rely on his own strength to turn the situation around in battle. He was even able to hold back a mountain pass and prevent 10,000 men from getting through. Talismans were extremely powerful. A seemingly simple talisman had endless uses. Just like now, after Jiang Qin's talisman was formed, the sky was covered with dark clouds. Those were the tribulation clouds. Boy, stop it. Sir, let's talk this out. Chong Jiu and Mo Xingtian's faces were pale, although their cultivation levels were much higher than Jiang Qin's. As people of the demonic Tao, they were bound to be punished by the heavens for their actions. Under normal circumstances, demonic cultivators who did heaven-defying things would conceal their aura to avoid attracting the wrath of heaven and suffering the punishment of thunder. But now, Jiang Qin's talisman had attracted the tribulation clouds. No matter how well Chong Jiu and Mo Xingtian hid their aura, they could not escape the punishment of the tribulation clouds. You were high and mighty before, looking down on me like an ant. What about now? Jiang Qin said mockingly. It's not easy to distinguish between the demonic Tao and the Buddha, good and evil. Good and evil depends on the person. What the two of you have done has already gone against the heavens. Now that the tribulation clouds have descended, do you have any complaints? Chong Jiu's face turned even paler. He knew very well that relying on the blood essence of others to cultivate was a violation of the righteous path of the heavens. Now, if the tribulation clouds descended, he would definitely die. Mo Xingtian was slightly better. Although he was also a demonic Tao person, his actions were not as bad as Chongjio's. In this way, the power of the tribulation clouds that Mo Xingtian suffered was much weaker than Chongjio's. However, no matter how weak the heavenly tribulation was, if Mo Xingtian was struck by it, even if he did not die, he would be severely injured. Around them, there was also a group of people from the righteous sects. Once Mo Xingtian was seriously injured, it was easy to imagine what would happen. "Brat, I'll kill you." At this moment, Zhongjio saw that the heavenly tribulation was about to fall. He knew that he had a slim chance of survival. With a roar, demonic qi rushed toward Jiang Chun like a black dragon. He wanted to drag Jiang Chun down and use him as a scapegoat. 9 words of battle. Defend like a mountain. Jiang Chun whispered. A golden bell appeared around him, and the shadow of a mountain appeared behind him. A wave of energy exploded and engulfed Jiang Chun's body. He was like a boulder, indestructible. The black dragon formed from demonic energy, surged forward, and shattered the golden bell. However, in front of the illusory mountain, it collapsed with a loud bang. Of course, the difference in cultivation level was too great. Although Jiang Chun didn't die, the shock wave caused the blood and qi in his body to churn, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Boom! At the same time, the tribulation clouds in the sky rolled. Purple lightning erupted, and like an upside-down flood, it pierced down from the 9 heavens and directly drowned Zhongjio. Accompanied by a series of miserable cries. Everyone saw Zhongjio trembling under the lightning. His face was distorted, and the demonic qi on his body was even blasted into powder by the lightning. In just 3 breaths of time, Zhongjio was bleeding from all 7 orifices. Cracks even appeared on his physical body. Spiderweb-like cracks covered his entire body. It was as if Zhongjio's physical body would collapse with a blow of the wind. By the side, Mo Xingtian's expression changed drastically. Feeling the heavenly tribulation that Zhongjio suffered, he felt very weak in his heart. "Sir, if you're willing to spare me this time, I, Mo Xingtian, will definitely be loyal to you." Mo Xingtian said seriously. In the face of death, how many people could be indifferent? How many could ignore it? And how many could not have fear in their hearts? Even Mo Xingtian, as the Grand Elder of the demonic sect, was also terrified at this moment. "I can spare you, but you have to establish a master-servant contract. Otherwise, Zhongjio's fate will be like yours," Jiang Chun said in a low voice. When these words came out, Mo Xingtian did not think much at all. It was because Zhongjio, who was beside him, had already been annihilated under the lightning. Not even a wisp of ashes was left. He was completely afraid. As the Grand Elder of the demonic sect, it was not easy to cultivate to this point. How could he be willing to accept death? "In the name of Mo Xingtian, I swear a blood oath to respect Jiang Chun as my master. I will be your servant. From today onwards, my body, my life, and my soul will be under Jiang Chun's control," Mo Xingtian hurriedly said. A drop of blood essence fell from his glabella and gathered into an obscure rune in the air. Then, this rune landed in front of Jiang Chun and was taken away by him. With that, the master-servant contract was set. "Disperse!" Then, Jiang Chun shouted softly. With a wave of his hand, the rune in the air disappeared. In the blink of an eye, the tribulation clouds in the sky dissipated. The vast and mighty sky was clear, as if the lightning had never appeared. "Jiang Chun, what are you trying to do by taking the Grand Elder of the demonic sect as your servant? Are you trying to get involved with the demonic sect? What nonsense! Although the Chuanzun sect has declined, it is still a righteous sect. Now that you have signed a master-servant contract with the Grand Elder of the demonic sect, tell us, are you righteous or evil?" At this moment, there were angry voices all around. A group of people, including the martial pavilion, stared at Jiang Chun with fear in their eyes. This was because Mo Xingtian was now Jiang Chun's servant. Whatever Jiang Chun asked him to do, Mo Xingtian would do it without resistance. and Mo Xingtian's cultivation level was the highest among them. If Jiang Chen asked Mo Xingtian to attack them, the consequences would be unimaginable. In my eyes, there is no such thing as righteous or evil, Jiang Chen said softly. Don't use the name of righteousness to do things of the demonic sect. Bullsh asterisk T. I think you are related to the demonic sect. That's right. Otherwise, how could a mere upper-level spirit realm cultivator have such methods? The group of people shouted. They were not only shocked by the strength Jiang Chen had displayed, but also puzzled. They couldn't understand how a cultivator at the upper level of the spirit realm could have so many methods and such strength. Only by joining the demonic sect could one's strength explosively increase. But had Jiang Chen really joined the demonic sect? Obviously, the people present weren't blind. They all knew that Jiang Chen hadn't joined the demonic sect. The reason why they said this was to use the name of righteousness to forcefully put a label on Jiang Chen. All right, even if I join the demonic sect, what can you do? Jiang Chen suddenly chuckled. A cold light flashed in his eyes, especially towards the people of the magnificent martial sect. His killing intent skyrocketed. Since you say that I joined the demonic sect, then today I will do the things of the demonic sect. Do you dare to accept? Jiang Chen said coldly. The moment these words came out, the entire crowd fell silent. Even those from the martial pavilion fell silent. When they looked at Jiang Chen, their eyes were filled with intense fear. Chapter 31. Master, if you need me to take action, just let me know, Mo Xingtian said softly, although he was very unwilling to obey Jiang Chen's orders. However, now that he had a master and servant contract with Jiang Chen, he had to perform well. Otherwise, if Jiang Chen was unhappy, he could take his life at any time. I don't like to kill, Jiang Chen said with a chuckle, but his eyes flashed with a trace of sharpness. Jiang Chen did not like to kill, but if he was forced, then this world would be plunged into misery and suffering. The wrath of a divine king was extraordinary. No matter how low one's cultivation level was, no one could stop Jiang Chen's wrath. Jiang Chen, I'm Qingyan Town's Martial Pavilion Deputy, Pavilion Master, Lu Tianming. At this moment, the leader of the group of people from the Martial Pavilion spoke. His expression was solemn as he stared at Jiang Chen and said in a deep voice, "Let me give you a piece of advice. Destroy Mo Xingtian, lest others mistakenly think that you are from the demonic Tao. At that time, not to mention what will happen to you, Chuanzun's sect will probably be implicated." Are you threatening me? Jiang Chen raised his eyebrows and shook his head gently. Unfortunately, I have never been threatened by others, and I don't like being threatened by others. On the godless continent, my martial pavilion seeks the world. Chuanzun's sect is no longer the Chuanzun sect of the past. If my martial pavilion makes trouble, how can Chuanzun's sect be preserved? Lu Tianming said coldly. You still dare to threaten me? Jiang Chen's face darkened, and a hint of killing intent emerged in his eyes. So what if I threaten you? What is a mere Chuanzun sect in front of my martial pavilion? With my command, the Qingyan Town Martial Pavilion Branch Hall can destroy your Chuanzun sect. Lu Tianming said coldly. As soon as these words came out, Jiang Chen suddenly laughed wildly. He did not like to kill, but it did not mean that he did not know how to kill. Moreover, once Jiang Chen started killing, he could not stop at all. As a divine king, he stepped on the corpses of his enemies, stepped on the white bones all over the ground, and killed his way to the altar step by step to sit on the divine throne. Now, a mere Martial Pavilion Branch Deputy Pavilion Master could threaten him? What a joke! You think you can destroy my Chuanzun sect with a single order? Jiang Chen raised his brows and waved his hand. Mo Xingtian. I understand. Mo Xingtian immediately understood what Jiang Chen meant. He nodded lightly, and demonic qi erupted from his body. Whoosh! In the next moment, everyone saw Mo Xingtian's figure dashing out like a phantom. A black light flashed. By the time everyone reacted, Mo Xingtian had already appeared in front of Lu Tianming. Bang! Before Lu Tianming could react, demonic qi shot out from Mo Xingtian's palm. Like a black arrow, it pierced through Lu Tianming's forehead. Qingyun Town Martial Pavilion Deputy Pavilion Master, Lu Tianming, dead. Killing one is killing, killing two is still killing. Zhang Chen whispered, since we're going to kill them, we have to kill them all. As the saying goes, if you don't remove the roots when you cut the grass, it will grow again when the spring breeze blows. I don't want to see this grass grow out of Sunset Forest. Yes, Mo Xingtian nodded. Demonic qi erupted from his body like black gales. Beneath his feet, white skeletons appeared. As he moved, ghostly cries could be heard. Poof! Poof! In the next moment, as Mo Xingtian attacked, a series of muffled sounds could be heard. Everywhere he passed, the people of the Martial Pavilion were killed. The peak of Dao Realm Stage 9. With his cultivation, he was invincible in this place. No one could stop him. After a dozen breaths, when all the people of the Martial Pavilion were killed, Mo Xingtian stopped and looked at Zhang Chen, as if he was asking something. What are you waiting for? Zhang Chen narrowed his eyes. If I let one person go, the Martial Pavilion will definitely find out. Do you want to see me die? Or do you want the entire reverent sect to be destroyed by the Martial Pavilion? I understand. Mo Xingtian nodded. When he looked at Zhang Chen, a strange look flashed across his eyes. Previously, Zhang Chen had said that he didn't like killing. But at that moment, Zhang Chen was going to kill everyone here. Did he really not like killing? However, after thinking about it, Mo Xingtian felt that Zhang Chen was right. He would rather everyone in the world die than let himself enter the Yellow Springs. Life is like this. Zhang Chen, this has nothing to do with us. This is between you, Lu Tianming, and the Martial Pavilion. Why do we have to be involved? At this moment, the people of Star Sword Sect, Eight Paths Sect, Union Assembly, and Magnificent Martial Sect spoke one after another, their bodies trembling. They knew very well that even if they all joined forces, they couldn't stop Mo Xingtian. Of course, there would still be experts from these sects who would rush over. However, by the time the strongest experts of their sects arrived, they would already be dead by Mo Xingtian's hands. The wind blows, the trees shake, and the rain falls, staining all things. Zhang Chen said softly. His expression was calm, and there was no trace of emotion in his eyes. Since you've been involved in this matter, there are only two results. Zhang Chen said, 1. The wind stops, and the rain doesn't fall. 2. The trees and grass are destroyed, and all things are destroyed. You're killing indiscriminately. What's the difference between you and a demonic cultivator? Zhang Chen, are you afraid of being punished by the heavens? The group of people shouted angrily. Their hearts were filled with resentment and fear. However, Zhang Chen chuckled and shrugged indifferently. He then looked up at the sky and said softly, Heavenly punishment? This sky was almost split open by me 3,000 years ago. How dare it punish me? Kill. In the next moment, following Zhang Chen's whisper, Mo Xingtian rushed out like a black fog. Demonic qi rolled all around, and the black fog was like a maze, sealing off the area. Puff, puff, accompanied by a series of muffled sounds. Mo Xingtian was like a demonic god from hell. Wherever he passed, blood splattered, trees were stained with blood, and people were dead. Zhang Chen, don't! More than 30 breaths later, a few very familiar voices suddenly came from the black fog. Hearing that, Zhang Chen frowned slightly and said softly, Stop. As soon as he said that, the surrounding demonic qi disappeared, and the black fog dissipated. Mo Xingtian returned to Zhang Chen's side with a puzzled expression. Looking around, of the group of people who were here previously, only 3 youths were left alive, and their faces were filled with fear. These 3 people were Star Sword Sect's Lin Mo, Chu Yuan, and the young girl. Forget it. I'll let you go. Zhang Chen was silent for a while, then sighed and said, Go forget what happened today. You. Chu Yuan opened his mouth and looked at Zhang Chen as if he was looking at a stranger. In their impression, Zhang Chen was brave and righteous, and not someone who would kill the innocent. But now, everything that happened made Chu Yuan feel that the Jiang Chun he knew before was a stranger. Go. I hope you can keep what happened today in your hearts forever. If a single word is leaked, I won't let you off easily, Jiang Chun said in a low voice. Hearing that, Lin Mo and the other two did not say anything. Their expressions were filled with fear as they hurriedly left. Master, aren't you afraid that they will leak what happened here? Mo Xingtian frowned and said, letting them go is leaving behind a disaster. So, what if they leak it out? Aren't you here? Jiang Chun smiled and said, in the future, I'll be in the light, and you'll be in the dark. All the blame will be given to you. Hearing that, Mo Xingtian was stunned and could not say anything for a long time. Chapter 32. It wasn't a big deal for Jiang Chun to let some disciples of the Star Sword sect go. After all, how many people would believe the words of a few Star Sword sect disciples? Even if they did, Jiang Chun could just push the blame to Mo Xingtian. At this moment, Mo Xingtian was depressed. He felt that his master was really a scammer. The sunset miracle is about to open, Jiang Chun said softly. He looked at the empty space in front of him without any emotion in his eyes. He had no interest in the inheritance of the sunset demon god. If it wasn't for the flame grass, Jiang Chun wouldn't have stepped into the sunset forest. However, the inheritance of the sunset demon god was a treasure to the people of the demonic Tao. Master, all the sects in the North Solitary Mountain should know about this, Mo Xingtian said in a low voice. The rest of the sects will be here sooner or later. Star Sword Sect, Magnificent Martial Sect, Eight Paths Sect, Alliance Conference, and Martial Pavilion will also be here. When that time comes, Mo Xingtian was after all a person of the demonic Tao. He was not tolerated by the people of the righteous Tao. If the strongest of the sects were here, Mo Xingtian wouldn't dare to be too arrogant. He wasn't even sure if he could protect himself. Help me pick a flame grass first, then hide. I'll take care of the rest, Jiang Chun said. Without my orders, don't come out. Yes. Mo Xingtian nodded. His figure flashed, turned into a phantom, and disappeared. Then, Jiang Chun got up, went to the top of a towering ancient tree, and sat down quietly. It wasn't that Jiang Chun wanted to stay, but he wanted to see how strong the strongest people in the North Solitary City were. After all, the first step for the Chuanzun sect to develop was to establish themselves in the North Solitary City. Jiang Chun wanted to know the strength of the other sects so that he could have a rough idea. After about half an incense stick's time, the sound of something breaking through the air came from afar. An old man in a white robe, like a white crane, flew through the air and landed at the edge of the sunset miracle. This person was the previous patriarch of the Magnificent Martial Sect, Sheng Linyun's grandfather, Sheng Wu. Cultivation, Peak of Tao Realm Stage 9. Who did it? At this moment, Sheng Wu roared into the sky. Looking at the corpses of the Sheng Wu sect disciples and Sheng Zhuyang's corpse, his eyes were bloodshot. Sheng Wu, who did it? A few breaths later, a middle-aged man with a purple golden crown on his head and a sharp sword under his feet flew through the air. When he saw the corpse of the Star Sword sect disciple, his face became as gloomy as black water. There's devil chi here. It's the work of the devil path, Sheng Wu said coldly. How dare you? You even dared to kill people from the Martial Pavilion. Do you think there's no one in the Alliance? What a demonic Tao. How dare you commit such atrocities? Half an incense stick worth of time later, the Clear Sky Town Martial Pavilion Master, the Union's president, and the Eight Paths sect master all arrived. These people were all at the peak of Tao Realm Stage 9, especially the Martial Pavilion Master, Su Zhangxiao. The aura that he exuded had the potential to break through the Tao realm. He was the strongest in this group. Sect Master, Sect Leader, avenge the elders and our fellow apprentices. Another dozen breaths later, Lin Mo and the other two rushed over from afar with gloomy expressions, especially Lin Mo. When he saw the corpses of the Star Sword sect disciples on the ground, he clenched his fists and the veins on his forehead popped out. Oh, these people are all dead. Why are the three of you still alive? The Star Sword Sect Master, Jian Ning, frowned in confusion. It's the Chuanzuan Sect Master, Jiang Chun. He ordered the Devil Sect's Great Elder, Mo Xingtian, to do it. These people were all killed by Mo Xingtian. Lin Mo said in a low voice. It's too cruel. Just because of a few words, he killed everyone here. The girl added, it's worse than the devil path. Senior brother, senior sister. If you put yourself in their shoes, you can't blame Jiangchen. If you want to blame someone, blame the Martial Pavilion. Chu Yuan frowned. He thought about many things and was very open-minded. It was even to the extent that Chu Yuan had thought that if such a thing were to happen to him, then he would also annihilate everything for himself and the sect he belonged to. Chu Yuan, are you confused? These people are your senior brothers, junior brothers, and even elders. Lin Mo said in a low voice. I think you've gone mad. Where is Jiang Chun? Jian Ning asked in a low voice. He naturally believed his disciples' words. At the same time, Sheng Wu was furious. After all, the Chuanzuan sect and the Sheng Wu sect had a grudge. Moreover, Jiang Chun had planted a seal in Sheng Linyun's body. In this way, even if Jiang Chun was not the culprit, Sheng Wu would still see Jiang Chun as his mortal enemy. I'm right here. At this moment, Jiang Chun jumped down from an ancient tree not far away with a smile on his face. He glanced at Lin Mo and the other two and said, It seems like I shouldn't have let you go. What? You mean you really ordered Mo Xingtian to kill these people? Jian Ning's eyes were filled with anger. True energy surged in his palms, and sword chi circled around him like stars. I'll kill you first, then destroy the Chuanzuan sect. Sheng Wu was even more direct. With a furious roar, he struck out with his palm. The palm print was like a dazzling sun, heading straight for Jiang Chun. Buzz! However, all of a sudden, the surrounding air seemed to have frozen. Everyone's true chi seemed to have been sealed. Even the palm print that Sheng Wu had sent out disappeared in midair. At the same time, the ground at the setting sun divine ruin cracked open. Demonic aura shot into the sky, and a black palace slowly rose from the crack in the ground. The sunset miracle has opened. The temple has appeared, and the restriction has been activated. Jiang Qin smiled calmly. He had already calculated the time. Otherwise, why would Jiang Chun come out to die when facing a group of Dao Realm Stage 9 cultivators? But now, the Sunset Temple had appeared, and the restriction within a 10-li radius had been activated. Anyone within range of the restriction would have their cultivation suppressed to the upper level of the spirit realm. If one's foundation wasn't solid enough, their cultivation would be suppressed to the middle level of the spirit realm, or even the lower level. Kill him first. This kind of evil creature must be killed. Sheng Wu's face was gloomy. His cultivation had been suppressed to the middle level of the spirit realm. When he looked at Jiang Chun, there was a trace of fear in his eyes. However, the Martial Pavilion Master Wu Mu and Eight Paths Sect Master Li Qing's cultivation had been suppressed to the upper level of the spirit realm. Adding Jian Ning and the Union President, Sheng Wu believed that the few of them were enough to kill Jiang Chun. My life is right here. If you want it, take it, Jiang Chun said calmly, a faint smile on his face. Although there was a restriction here, Jiang Chun had opened 36 spirit veins and condensed a heavenly star. His cultivation wasn't suppressed at all. Even if it was suppressed, the power of 36 spirit veins was enough to crush these people. Chapter 33. The people present were all top cultivators in the solitary North City area. Although they weren't necessarily the strongest, they weren't too far off either. Take Sheng Wu, for example. If it weren't for him, the Sheng Wu sect wouldn't have been promoted to an 8th-rate sect. Janning, Li Qing, and the others were even stronger than Sheng Wu. The strongest person here was the pavilion master of the Qingyan Town Martial Pavilion, Wu Mu. Under the suppression of the restriction, his cultivation was still at the top of the group. However, even so, it was no problem for Jiang Chun. With 36 spirit meridians opened, The amount of true qi in his body was far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Buzz! At this moment, Jiang Qin's body shook, and the 36 spirit meridians exploded like galaxies connecting with the stars. A terrifying true qi burst out of his body like a river bursting through a dam. What? How can a spiritual realm cultivator have so much true qi? Shengwu and the others were shocked. Their eyes widened, and even their bodies were trembling slightly. Jiang Chun hadn't made a move yet, but his true qi alone was enough to crush Shengwu and the others. Heavenly dance of light and darkness. Before the others could react, Jiang Chun narrowed his eyes and shouted. Light appeared on his hands. 2 streams of true qi, one black and one white, were like sharp swords. Under the sword light, gusts of fierce wind whistled around him. The black and white light circled around him. When he took a step forward, he was like a fierce tiger. No, his speed was faster than a fierce tiger. Like a phantom, he flashed in front of everyone's eyes. Poof! Poof! At this moment, Shengwu and the others heard a series of muffled sounds, and a pungent smell of blood wafted out. The black and white light danced around them like a black and white dance. Wherever it passed, the sword light turned into black and white. It was like night and day were alternating. Stop! No! In just a dozen breaths, Shengwu and the others couldn't take it anymore. Their eyes were full of horror. Jinning opened his mouth immediately. His face was pale, and his lips were trembling. He simply couldn't see Jiang Chen's figure. All he could see was a black and white light swirling around him. In just a dozen breaths of time, dozens of wounds had appeared on his body. Shengwu, Li Qing, and the others were covered in blood. Only Wu Mu, whose Jinqi was so abundant that it formed a light screen around his body, was slightly less injured. However, everyone understood that if this continued, they wouldn't even be able to touch the corner of Jiang Chen's clothes. And they would be killed here. Shengwu and the others even had a feeling that Jiang Chen could have killed them long ago. At this moment, Jiang Chen seemed to be toying with them. It's been a long time since I've fought, and I'm a little rusty with this dance of light and darkness. I'll use you guys to practice and refresh myself. The black and white light danced, and Jiang Chen's voice sounded in everyone's ears. After hearing this, Shengwu and the others were even more convinced that Jiang Chen was not being serious. He was only toying with them. Stop! Jiang Chen, stop it now! If we were to die, the entire solitary North City would tremble. At that time, how can you, a mere Chuanzin sect, withstand the wrath of our sects? Hearing this, Jiang Chen smiled disdainfully. He didn't even stop moving. The black and white light expanded again, dancing around Shengwu and the others like a ghost. Sword chimes crisscrossed, as if they were playing a song. Sword rays flashed, as beautiful as the rainbow. Puff! Puff! Finally, after 30 breaths of time, 8 Paths Sect's Li Qing, the Alliance's president, and Star Sword Sect's Jian Ning fell to the ground dead. Only Wu Mu and Shengwu were left, struggling to hold on under the black and white sword rays. More and more sword wounds appeared on their bodies. Their bodies and feet were already covered in blood. At this moment, they would die from excessive blood loss, even without Jiang Chen's help. Let me go. You can ask for anything. I'm willing to serve you as my master. After another 10 breaths of time, Wu Mu and Shengwu finally couldn't hold on any longer. They threw away their last shred of dignity and begged for mercy. At the same time, Jiang Chen stopped. The true qi on his body dissipated, and the black and white light disappeared. He looked at Wu Mu and Shengwu with a mocking expression. Not just anyone can be my servant, Jiang Chen said softly. At least, to be my servant, you need to have some ability to help me. As Jiang Chen spoke, he couldn't help but look at Shengwu. He said sarcastically, "How can you help me? I can work for you. I'll do whatever you ask me to do." Shengwu said hurriedly. He had lost too much blood and was now lying on the ground. That's all? Then what do I need you for? Jiang Chen curled his lips. Work for him? Sorry, in Jiang Chen's eyes, no one in this world was qualified to work for him. Jiang Chen even thought that he could handle anything related to fighting. If that was the case, what use did he have for Sheng Wu? Puff! Immediately, a cold ray of light shot out from Jiang Chen's fingertip and penetrated Sheng Wu's forehead. The previous sect leader of the Sheng Wu sect had fallen. Tell me, what use do you have for me? Then Jiang Chen looked towards Wu Mu and pointed at Sheng Wu's dead body. He said, think about it. If you don't want to, you can go with him. I'm from the Martial Pavilion. All the sects in this world are under the jurisdiction of the Martial Pavilion. Wu Mu thought for a while and said, I can do a lot of things for you in the Martial Pavilion. Jiang Chen frowned after hearing this. After thinking for a while, he snapped his fingers and said with a smile, not bad. Let's sign a contract. 3,000 years ago, the Chuanzuan sect was powerful and glorious. At that time, the Martial Pavilion could control all the sects in the world, but they didn't dare to interfere with the Chuanzuan sect's affairs. However, it was different now. Since the fall of the Chuanzuan sect, the Martial Pavilion had become the dominant force. Even the first-rate sects were controlled by the Martial Pavilion. For example, the promotion of a sect, the change of sect leader, and even the bestowal of a holy son had to be approved by the Martial Pavilion. If the Martial Pavilion deliberately made things difficult, no matter how powerful the sect was, it would be suppressed for the rest of its life. It might even be unable to advance forever. Jiang Chen had thought it through. Since he had returned, the Chuanzuan sect naturally had to restore its former glory. During this period, Jiang Chen's strength had not recovered to its peak. Naturally, he couldn't directly confront the Martial Pavilion. As such, some things naturally had to be handled by the Martial Pavilion. Contract signed? After a few breaths, Wu Mu signed a contract and became Jiang Chen's servant. Jiang Chen didn't say much. He only looked at Wu Mu meaningfully and said, from now on, you'd better do what you should do and say what you should say. Otherwise, your name will be on the gate to the underworld. Yes. Wu Mu nodded. Now that his life was in Jiang Chen's hands, he didn't dare to say anything. Let's go. Jiang Chen waved his hand and said in a low voice. Then he walked out of the sunset forest. This scene stunned Wu Mu. He couldn't help but ask, the setting sun divine miracle has opened. Don't you want the inheritance inside? Chapter 34. The inheritance of the sunset, demon god? What do I need it for? Jiang Chen shook his head and chuckled. If you want it, I can give it to you. The key is, are you qualified to ask for it? Wu Mu was stunned when he heard that. He stared at Jiang Chen's back, unable to figure out Jiang Chen. He also felt that Jiang Chen seemed to be full of secrets. However, as a servant, Wu Mu naturally did not dare to ask. Then, Jiang Chen left and met up with Mo Xingtian on the way. The three of them left the Sunset Forest and returned to the Chuanzuan sect without any hesitation. As soon as he returned, Lu Qingshun found Jiang Chen. There was a hint of nervousness and shock in his eyes. You brought all the Pill Pavilion and Array Pavilion of Qingyun Town to the Chuanzuan sect? Lu Qingshun asked. Huh? Jiang Chen was stunned. He did not understand what Lu Qingshun meant. Although many alchemists and array masters had joined the Chuanzuan sect in the Pill Pavilion and Array Pavilion, there were still many alchemists and array masters in the Pill Pavilion and Array Pavilion of Qingyun Town. The seventh peak has now become the territory of the Pill Pavilion, and the sixth peak has become the territory of the Array Pavilion. Lu Qingshun had a strange expression. Are they going to join the Chuanzuan sect? Or are they trying to take over the Chuanzuan sect? Let them be. Jiang Chen smiled bitterly. He knew that the alchemists and array masters in the Pill Pavilion and Array Pavilion of Qingyun Town had all come to the Chuanzuan sect. Since he had come, Jiang Chen wouldn't turn him down. Anyway, the Chuanzuan sect was so big. Apart from the main peak, there were 6 other peaks. Those mountain peaks were empty and could be used as residences for alchemists and array masters. Moreover, if the Chuanzuan sect wanted to rise, they could not do without these alchemists and array masters. Of course, the most important thing was that the Pill Pavilion and Array Pavilion were famous and had a high status in the godless continent. If he could get the help of the Elixir Pavilion and the Array Pavilion, the revival of the Chuanzuan sect would be even smoother. By then, the only thing Jiang Chun had to consider was how to lure these alchemists and tactical formation masters to their deaths so that they would stay in the Chuanzuan school wholeheartedly. "You can leave for now," Jiang Chun said softly. "Don't interfere with the Pill and Formation Pavilions. Let them do as they please. Although they have joined the Chuanzuan sect, they are still part of the Pill Pavilion and the Formation Pavilion. They are not part of the Chuanzuan sect." "Okay." Lu Qingchen nodded and turned to leave. However, just as he reached the entrance of the main hall, Lu Qingchen seemed to have thought of something. He hurriedly turned around and asked worriedly, "There are less than 3 days left before the Glory sect attacks. With the 9 minor Xian formations, even 10 Xingwu sects wouldn't be a problem." Jiang Chen smiled. "Don't worry. As long as I'm here, the Xingwu sect will be safe." Lu Qingchen frowned, not believing Jiang Chen's words. After all, he didn't know anything about formations. So how would he know the power of the 9 minor Xian formations? However, Lu Qingchen didn't say much and left. "Mo Xingtian, go to the back mountain," Jiang Chun said softly, and Mo Xingtian, who was hiding behind him, revealed himself. "What are we going to do?" Mo Xingtian asked, suddenly having a bad feeling. "Do you want the Sunset Demon God's inheritance?" Jiang Chen asked with a half-smile. Mo Xingtian couldn't help but widen his eyes in disbelief. Jiang Chun hadn't even entered the Sunset Temple, so how could he have the Sunset Demon God's inheritance? When Mo Xingtian heard this, he thought that Su Mo was lying to him. However, when Mo Xingtian looked at Jiang Chen's expression, he suddenly had a feeling that perhaps Jiang Chen really did have the Sunset Demon God's inheritance. The Sunset Demon God's inheritance is about the Yang demon art of the purest Yang, Jiang Chen said. "In your current situation, with your heavy sins and the corrosion of darkness, even if I give you the Sunset Demon God's inheritance, you won't be able to cultivate it." "Then, how should I cultivate it?" Mo Xingtian asked. "First, get rid of the darkness in your body, then get rid of your sins," Jiang Chen said. With that, Jiang Chen waved his hand and said, "Let's go to the back mountain first. You'll understand when we get there." Mo Xingtian was confused, but he still followed Jiang Chen all the way to the back mountain. Once they arrived, Jiang Chen looked at Mo Xingtian mockingly and said, "Ready to get rid of your sins and get rid of the darkness?" Mo Xingtian nodded, but he was very reluctant. This was because when he saw Jiang Chen's expression, he felt that something bad was going to happen. 3 breaths later, when Mo Xingtian saw Jiang Chen carve a talisman, his entire face darkened. "You want to attract a heavenly tribulation?" Mo Xingtian exclaimed, his eyes filled with fear. Mo Xingtian had committed too many evil deeds since he started cultivating. He was no longer tolerated by the heavenly Tao. People like him were most afraid of a heavenly tribulation and being punished by the heavens. A heavenly tribulation is the purest Yang. If you can withstand it and get rid of the darkness and sins in your body, you can cultivate the Sunset Demon God's inheritance, Jiang Chen said. "Can I refuse? Can I not want the Sunset Demon God's inheritance?" Mo Xingtian's face darkened, and his heart trembled. He knew better than anyone that once the heavenly tribulation fell, it would be a punishment from the heavens. It was very likely that he would die under the heavenly tribulation. What do you think? However, Jiang Chen did not care what Mo Xingtian was thinking. The talisman was like a bolt of lightning that landed in the sky. Buzz! In an instant, thunderclouds appeared in the originally clear sky. After a few breaths, bolts of purple lightning as thick as buckets struck down on Mo Xingtian. "No!" Mo Xingtian was terrified. He screamed and turned to run. However, his speed could not be compared to the lightning. Before he could run a few steps, the purple lightning had already landed on his head like a sharp sword. At that moment, Mo Xingtian felt that his life might have come to an end. Boom! However, in the next moment, Emo Xingtian realized that not a single bolt of lightning had landed on him. When he looked up, he was shocked to see that a purple glow had appeared on Jiang Chen's body. All the lightning had been drawn away. "What are you doing?" Emo Xingtian's eyes widened in shock. He had signed a master and servant contract with Jiang Chen. If Jiang Chen died, he would be buried with him. However, with Jiang Chen's cultivation, how could he withstand the lightning? "Cultivate?" Jiang Chen said softly. He focused his eyes and calmed his heart. He activated the infinity art. His true chi was like a vortex that appeared on the surface of his body. Lightning fell from the sky. The purple glow exploded and bombarded Jiang Chen's body. The lightning was mighty and represented destruction. It exuded a terrifying aura. There was even a wisp of heavenly aura that filled the air. Emo Xingtian was terrified. He could feel that if he was struck by the lightning, he would be severely injured even if he did not die. However, he realized that Jiang Chen was like a boulder. He allowed the lightning to fall and sweep across his body, but he was not injured at all. In fact, during this process, Jiang Chen's aura became stronger and stronger. There were even streaks of blood-red light condensing in his body. That was the sign of condensing blood essence. Chapter 35. Emo Xingtian couldn't imagine that a cultivator at the upper level of the spirit realm would dare to use lightning to refine his body. Even he couldn't withstand the power of these lightning bolts. "What secrets are you hiding?" Emo Xingtian thought to himself. His eyes shone brightly as a thought suddenly appeared in his mind. Perhaps following him was a fortuitous encounter. At this moment, Jiang Chen was surrounded by lightning. The true qi in his body surged violently, forming vortexes that absorbed the extreme yang energy of the lightning bolts. This energy rushed into his body, sweeping through his limbs and bones. After being absorbed and refined by the endless art, it was replenished to every part of his body. His essence, qi, and spirit were growing rapidly. There was even a bright red light flickering in his heart. After half an incense stick's time, when Jiang Chen felt pain in his body, he finally destroyed the talisman. The tribulation clouds dissipated and the lightning disappeared. Jiang Chen's body emitted streaks of blood-red light. "I've broken through," Jiang Chen said softly. Lower level of the body realm, looking inside himself, there was a drop of gorgeous blood in his heart. It was like a small heart that was slowly beating. As this drop of blood beat, Jiang Chen could feel that his essence, qi, and spirit, and even his physique, had strengthened greatly. And this gorgeous drop of blood was his essence blood. Ordinary people need to condense 9 drops of essence blood in the body realm to reach the upper level of the body realm, Jiang Chen thought to himself. But the endless art can condense 36 drops of essence blood. Jiang Chen could imagine how strong his body would be when he condensed 36 drops of essence blood. In a daze, Jiang Chen recalled the scene of his first fight with the Dark Fiend Celestial. Jiang Chen had been so strong back then, but he had suffered a great loss and almost lost the first time he fought with the Dark Fiend Celestial. And the main reason for all this was the Dark Fiend Celestial's rock-like body. "Since I've been reborn, everything must be done perfectly. When I return and ascend to the 9 heavens again, all the gods and demons will have to submit." Jiang Chen's eyes flashed. Then his expression returned to normal. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly, revealing a charming and unrestrained smile. "How do you feel?" At this moment, Jiang Chen looked at Emo Xingtian with a smile. "I don't feel anything," Emo Xingtian muttered. The lightning from the heavenly tribulation was all absorbed by Jiang Chen alone. Emo Xingtian just stood there completely fine. It was as if they were watching a show. "You don't feel anything?" Jiang Chen said softly. "Then next time, I'll give you a few bolts of lightning so that you can dispel the sins and darkness in your body." Can I not?" Emo Xingtian's body trembled. Thinking back to the power of the lightning, his heart twitched. "What I give you is a gift to you?" Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes. "If you don't want what I'm giving you, then I can only free you. Release? Mo Xingtian was stunned. His pupils suddenly shrank. Naturally, he understood that the so-called bestowment of liberation was a bestowment of death. I want it. Whatever master gives, I want. Mo Xingtian nodded hurriedly. He rubbed his hands nervously. But can you give me less? I'm afraid I can't take it if you give me more. You want more? I'm not willing to give you more, Jiang Chun said snappily. After refining his body with so many bolts of lightning, Jiang Chun only managed to condense 1 drop of essence blood. Jiang Chun didn't even have enough for himself. How could he give more to Mo Xingtian? In fact, Jiang Chun was a little regretful. If he hadn't killed Zhongjiu back then, there would be 2 demonic cultivators attracting lightning for him. In that case, there would naturally be more lightning, and the speed of condensing essence blood would be faster. Now, only Mo Xingtian was left. The lightning from the heavenly tribulation was much less. Rest for a while. We'll continue later, Jiang Chun said. He sat down cross-legged and adjusted his breathing. Half a day later, when Jiang Chun's condition had recovered to its peak, he once again inscribed talismans to attract lightning from the heavenly tribulation and began refining his body. This time, Jiang Chun split a bolt of lightning and landed on Mo Xingtian's body. In an instant, Mo Xingtian screamed. Even if it was just a bolt of lightning, it was enough to make him suffer. What's happening at the back of the mountain? That scream sounds quite scary. Who's transcending the tribulation? In the Chuanzun sect, a group of people was stunned. In just a day, the back of the mountain had already received 2 heavenly tribulations. Especially that scream, it was simply numbing. It's the 3rd heavenly tribulation. Another half a day later, everyone discovered that another tribulation cloud had appeared in the sky above the back of the mountain. This time, the scream sounded again. After half an incense stick's time, everyone saw Jiang Chun walk out of the back of the mountain covered in blood. Sect leader, what are you doing? Transcending the tribulation? Elixir Pavilion, Array Pavilion, Lu Qingchen, and the rest walked over. When they saw Jiang Chun covered in blood, they were extremely worried. I'm fine. Jiang Chun shook his head with a gloomy expression. In just a day, he had transcended 3 heavenly tribulations and refined his body 3 times. No matter how strong the endless incantation was, his physical body could not hold on any longer. Because of the excessive refinement, his physical body almost collapsed under the last bolt of lightning. Sect leader, there's less than a day left before the magnificent martial sect attacks. Lu Qingchen frowned. Are you sure you're fine? What can happen to me? Jiang Chun said snappily. I say, don't you trust me that much? How can I trust you? Lu Qingchen was very direct. Your cultivation. Jiang Chun rolled his eyes when he heard that. He could not be bothered to say anything more to Lu Qingchen. Boom! At this moment, an explosion came from outside the Chuanzun sect's mountain gate. Someone broke into the mountain gate? Jiang Chun was stunned. It was obvious that someone had triggered the minor Black 9 formation. However, Jiang Chun was not worried at all. Unless there were many Dao Realm cultivators attacking at all costs, there was no way they could break through the minor Black 9 formation. Otherwise, with the minor Black 9 formation, the Chuanzun sect would be impenetrable. Buzz! However, in just 3 breaths' time, the crowd was shocked to discover that the light barrier encapsulating the Chuanzun sect had shattered into a rain of light and dissipated with the wind. The minor Black 9 formation was broken. Oh my God! What's going on? At this moment, even Jiang Chun was dumbfounded, let alone the formation masters. In fact, Jiang Chun even began to wonder if the minor Black 9 formation that he had created was really that weak. However, after a few breaths, Jiang Chun could not help but feel relieved when he saw 2 figures flying over from the mountain gate. This was because the 2 of them were the old man and the young girl he had met at the Elixir Pavilion. The young girl's cultivation level was not high enough to break through the minor Black 9 formation. However, the old man's cultivation level had surpassed the Dao realm. His strength was top-notch in the entire solitary North City area. He could even be considered the strongest. Although the minor Black 9 formation was set up The materials used were very ordinary. Naturally, it could not unleash its full power. It was reasonable that a cultivator who had surpassed the Tao realm could break through the formation. Chapter 36. Fellow Cultivator, how have you been? At this moment, Bai Jianye and Bai Fingyu flew over and landed in front of Jiangchen. Both of them did not wear cloaks this time and revealed their faces to the crowd. Jiangchen was quite calm about this. He stood where he was and didn't say anything. However, when the surrounding people saw Bai Fengyu's stunning appearance, they were all stunned. Fellow cultivator? When Bai Jianye saw that Jiangchen didn't speak, he couldn't help but ask again, what happened to you? You're covered in blood. I was in a hurry to cultivate. It's nothing serious, Jiangchen said. Then he said seriously, pay up. Ah, what? At this moment, Bai Jianye and Bai Fengyu were dumbfounded. They didn't understand what Jiangchen meant. You destroyed the Chuanzuan sect's sect-protecting array. You have to pay up? Jiangchen said in a low voice, including the cost of materials, labor, and mental damage. The total is 3,000 top-grade spiritual stones. Sect leader, this old man looks powerful. Do you really want them to pay up? Lu Qingchen muttered and blinked at Jiangchen. He was afraid that Jiangchen would anger the old man. However, Jiangchen was clearly aware that Bai Jianye had brought Bai Fengyu here on this day to transform into Yin. If he did not kill a pig today, when would he earn more money? However, in the next second, Jiangchen could not stay calm anymore. He even regretted what he said just now. I see. Bai Jianye nodded and said, you should pay up for destroying the Chuanzuan sect's sect-protecting array. Then, Bai Jianye handed a black ring to Jiangchen and said with a smile, this is a space ring. There are 30,000 top-grade spiritual stones in it. Is that enough? 30,000? Top-grade spiritual stones? What? 30,000? Everyone was shocked. They did not expect Bai Jianye to be so generous. As for Jiangchen, he wanted to slap himself. If he had known that Bai Jianye was so rich, he would have directly said 300,000 instead of 30,000 top-grade spirit stones. If it's not enough, I'll get someone to send it over. Is 3 million enough? Bai Jianye saw that Jiangchen didn't say anything. His heart felt weak as he spoke again. Puff! This time, Jiangchen's chest heaved up and down, his vital energy and blood roiled, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Jiangchen hated himself. Why didn't he ask for more? Now that he had accepted 30,000 spirit stones, even Jiangchen wouldn't have the face to raise the price again. Moreover, just this interspatial ring alone was priceless. In the entire northern solitary mountain area, the number of people who could afford a spatial ring could be counted on one hand. Tell me, why did you come to my Chuanzuan sect? Jiangchen asked, keeping the spatial ring. Fellow cultivator, you already know the answer. Bai Jianye said, about my granddaughter, Fengyu, I still have the same condition. Jiangchen said, I can help her, but she has to stay by my side. As soon as he said that, everyone was dumbfounded. Sect leader, are you threatening them to snatch this girl away? Isn't it inappropriate? You're the sect leader. Lu Shan and Tong Sang muttered with a strange expression. On the side, Bai Fengyu heard these words and knew that these people had misunderstood. Her face turned red as she said angrily, don't talk nonsense. To stay by your side? Bai Jianye asked. Judging from her appearance, I guess she's also a young lady. Forget about being a maid. Jiangchen muttered. He tilted his head and frowned. After thinking carefully, he said, be my disciple. Huh? Be your disciple? Bai Jianye was stunned and seemed to be surprised. Bai Fengyu rolled her eyes, and when she looked at Jiangchen, her eyes were filled with disdain. Fellow cultivator, what can you teach little you? Do you know her identity? Bai Jianye had a strange expression. Bai Jianye and Bai Fengyu were from the White Emperor City in the White Mountain Snow Sea. And the White Emperor City was a first-rate sect. The current city lord of the White Emperor City was Bai Fengyu's father, Bai Jianye's son. In the White Emperor City, there were many experts and there was no lack of supreme talents. Even those people were not qualified to teach Bai Fengyu. What qualifications did Jiang Chen have? Of course, this was what Bai Jiangye and Bai Fengyu thought. I can give her whatever she wants. Jiang Chen said seriously. Of course, whether you agree or not is up to you. After speaking, Jiang Chen turned around and waved his hand. I'm going to take a bath and change my clothes. My body is full of bloodstains. It's quite uncomfortable. Looking at Jiang Chen's back view, Bai Jiangye's eyes flashed with a trace of difficulty. If he did not agree, Bai Fengyu would definitely die. But if he won, the daughter of the White Emperor City would become Jiang Chen's disciple in the future. And Jiang Chen was only the sect master of a ninth-rate sect, the Chuanzuan sect. If this matter was spread out, it would be a disgrace to the White Emperor City. So be it. It's better than losing your life. Bai Jiangye thought for a moment, then looked at Bai Fengyu and said, Little you, as long as you can survive, I'll listen to grandfather. Bai Huayu was very obedient, but she could not help but mutter, What can he teach me? If father knows, the Chuanzuan sect will be annihilated. Just keep it a secret, Bai Jiangye said softly. Next, Bai Jiangye and Bai Huayu waited for Jiang Chen in the main hall for 2 hours before they saw Jiang Chen slowly walk in. He was wearing a white robe. His hair was draped over his shoulders. It was slightly wet, like a willow. She had a fair complexion, exquisite facial features, and especially a pair of eyes that were like stars. It was unforgettable at first glance. In addition, there was an unrestrained smile at the corner of his mouth. All right, Bai Fengyu had to admit that Jiang Chen was the most handsome man she had ever seen. Have you thought it through? Jiang Chen asked. He walked over slowly, then calmly sat on the sect master's throne. We agree. Bai Jiangye nodded. I can see that your identities are not ordinary. If you go back on your words, I can't do anything. Jiang Chen said mockingly. Let's sign a master-disciple contract, in case she runs away after I turn her into Yin. Bai Jiangye could not help but nod when he heard this. He also knew Jiang Chen's concerns. He nodded at Bai Fengyu, then saw Bai Fengyu making an oath and signing the contract. At this moment, Jiang Chen smiled. He smiled very happily, as if he could see that in the near future, there would be another Tai Yin Master God above the 9 heavens. Follow me to the back hall. I'll help you turn your Yin. Jiang Chen looked at Bai Fengyu and said, It'll be quick. Bai Fengyu did not think much of it. After all, her cultivation was much higher than Jiang Chen's. Even if Jiang Chen wanted to make things difficult for her, Bai Fengyu was not afraid. Moreover, there were basically no restrictions in a master-disciple contract. Bai Fengyu could do whatever she wanted. However, when the two of them arrived at the back hall, when Jiang Chen asked Bai Fengyu to take off her clothes, Bai Fengyu's face darkened. Chapter 37. Transforming Yin. Jiang Chen was stunned. If you don't take off your clothes, how can I help you transform Yin? Must I take off my clothes to transform Yin? Bai Fengyu was in disbelief. She felt that Jiang Chen wanted to take advantage of her. Jiang Chen shrugged his shoulders indifferently. Up to you. Take it off or not. Anyway, your life is your own. Bai Fengyu was at her wit's end. Wasn't the reason why she came here to survive? Survival was the way of the king. If you dare to take advantage of me, or have any improper thoughts, I will tear you into pieces even if I have to suffer the backlash of the contract. Bai Fengyu said coldly. Bai Fengyu's face turned red and her clothes fell off. However, facing Bai Fengyu's naked body, Jiang Chen's heart did not waver. He was really only helping Bai Fengyu transform Yin. To transform Yin, I need to find the location of your Yin vein. I can only see it with my naked eyes. Jiang Chen stood in front of Bai Fengyu and said seriously, Otherwise, who would like to look at you? You. Bai Fengyu was speechless. She had been seen naked, but he still listened to these words. Have you seen enough? After a dozen breaths, Jiang Chen was still looking, but Bai Fengyu could not bear it anymore. Her entire body had been seen from head to toe. Found it. At this moment, Jiang Chen's eyes flashed. He pointed his finger at the back of Bai Fengyu's neck. A powerful surge of Jinqi abruptly gathered together, and as if a sharp needle, it pierced right into Zhang Qian's body. Hiss! Bai Fengyu's face turned pale instantly. She felt weak all over, and a pain that seemed to come from her soul spread throughout her body. Wisps of white mist rose from her snow-white skin. It was abnormally cold, as if it had been frozen for 1,000 years. The surrounding air suddenly froze, as if it was frozen. Even Jiang Qin shivered. His body was cold, and the blood in his body was about to be frozen. "Don't move," Jiang Qin said seriously. "I have found the yin vein. It will be over soon." Bai Fengyu nodded. Looking at Jiang Qin, who was so close to her, her beautiful face couldn't help but blush. She could not see any desire or greed in Jiang Qin's eyes. The only thing he did was to save her life. "She's really good looking," Bai Fengyu thought to himself as a thought suddenly popped up in his mind. Jiang Qin naturally didn't know what Bai Fengyu was thinking. At this moment, the true qi in his body was rolling like waves. Wave after wave of true qi rushed into Bai Fengyu's body from his fingertip. After half an incense stick's time, the cold aura on Bai Fengyu's body disappeared, and a trace of blood finally appeared on his pale face. At the same time, Bai Fengyu felt that the cold qi in his body had been removed. Furthermore, a special sort of power was being emitted from all over his body. It was like ice that had not melted for 10,000 years. It was even more like extremely low darkness and frost. However, although it was cold, Bai Fengyu did not feel a trace of coldness. "You succeeded in transforming into yin?" Bai Fengyu asked. "Yes, it's very simple." Jiang Qin nodded his head and said, "The hardest part of transforming into yin is to find the yin vein." After saying that, Jiang Qin glanced at Bai Fengyu and frowned. "What are you still standing there for? Are you not going to wear clothes?" "You rogue!" Bai Fengyu was enraged. Her face was flushed red as she hurriedly wore her clothes. During this time, Jiang Qin had already walked out of the back hall. "How is it?" Just as he walked out of the back hall, Bai Fengyu asked with a worried expression. One must know that Bai Fengyu was the only descendant of White Emperor City. In the future, she was the successor of White Emperor City in the Blue Mountain Snow Sea. If anything happened to Bai Fengyu, then this matter would be blown up. "It's done." Jiang Qin nodded his head. Then, he frowned and looked outside the main hall. This was because Jiang Qin felt that a large group of people had arrived at the Chuanzun Sect's mountain gate. Calculating the time, it should be the people from the magnificent martial sect. "Aren't you going to help me clean up?" Jiang Qin looked at Bai Fengyu and said with a smile, "My body is a little weak right now. I'll have to trouble you to clean up the trash outside the mountain gate." "All right." Bai Fengyu nodded his head and disappeared in a flash. However, after 3 breaths, Bai Fengyu appeared in the main hall again. "It's done." Bai Fengyu said, "Those people said that they were from the magnificent martial sect, and they wanted to exterminate your Chuanzun sect. It seems like your Chuanzun sect situation is not good." "Exterminated?" Jiang Qin asked. "Exterminated. Not a single one was left." Bai Fengyu said, "It was just a snap of the fingers." Just as he finished speaking, Bai Fengyu walked out of the back hall. There was a trace of redness on her face. When she looked at Jiang Qin, there was a trace of gratitude and shyness in her eyes. "This man, he actually saw my body," Bai Fengyu secretly said. She did not know what to say about the feeling in her heart. "Little you, how do you feel?" Bai Fengyu hurriedly asked. "I'm fine. The cold in my body has disappeared. Moreover, I seem to have gained another kind of power. It's very cold, but it's not harmful to me." Bai Fengyu muttered. However, she was unable to control the power in her body. She felt that something was missing. That's the power of the great Moon Saint physique. If you don't cultivate it and don't know how to use it properly, your great Moon Saint physique will be wasted. Jiang Qin said, "From now on, follow me and I will teach you properly." Upon witnessing Jiang Qin's mature appearance, Bai Fengyu couldn't help but be startled. Especially when he saw the trace of vicissitudes in Jiang Qin's eyes. It made Bai Fengyu even more puzzled. He did not know where this brat came from, what he knew, and what he had experienced. However, Bai Fengye did not think too much about it. As long as Bai Fengyu was safe and sound, he was relieved. I don't think Chuanzuan's sect is that great. It's no longer as glorious as before. Why don't you move to my White Emperor city? Bai Fengye said. When these words came out, Jiang Qin's face darkened. He sighed in his heart. A group of prodigal disciples. They have ruined my Chuanzuan's sect to this extent. No need. Since I'm the sect master of Chuanzuan's sect, I won't leave so easily. Jiang Chun said seriously. Perhaps it won't be long before Chuanzuan's sect regains its former glory. Is that so? Bai Fengye frowned. He did not believe it at all. Everyone in the godless continent knew how glorious Chuanzuan's sect was in the past. They were known as the #1 sect in the godless continent. They were even above the martial pavilion. However, that was in the past. In many people's eyes, since Chuanzuan's sect had declined, it was impossible for them to rise again. After all, there wouldn't be a second Jiangchun in this world. However, who would have thought that there wouldn't be a second Jiangchun in this world? However, the Jiangchun of the past had come back. The matter has been settled. Do you want to return or stay in my Chuanzuan sect? Jiangchun suddenly asked. He was calculating in his heart. Chapter 38. Bai Jiangye's cultivation was very high and had definitely surpassed the Dao realm. If Bai Jiangye stayed in Chuanzuan's sect, he would definitely be able to protect Chuanzuan's sect. At that time, Jiang Chun would be able to cultivate in peace and avoid all the trifling matters. However, Bai Jiangye shook his head and said, White Emperor's city needs me. Oh, then you can go back. Jiang Chun said softly. Since he could not keep Bai Jiangye, he could not force him to stay. I can stay here for a few days. Bai Jiangye said, Okay. Jiang Chun nodded and waved his hand, saying, I'm going to cultivate. You can leave now. After saying that, before Bai Jiangye and Bai Fengyu could turn around, Jiang Chun suddenly thought of something and said hurriedly, Pay the rent and tuition fees first. When these words came out, Bai Fengyu and Bai Jiangye were stupefied. They were stunned on the spot and couldn't say a word for a long time. Rent? Tuition fees? What the hell? Why are you standing there? Jiang Chun said unhappily. You don't have to pay rent for staying in Chuanzuan's sect for a few days? I teach your granddaughter cultivation, and I don't have to pay tuition fees? What do you think this place is? A charity house? Do you think you can eat and drink for free? Okay. Bai Jiangye was stunned. He did not expect Jiang Chun to be so stingy. 10,000 top-grade spiritual stones a day. Plus the tuition fees, I'll give you a discount. Just give me 1 million top-grade spiritual stones first. Jiang Chun said, Okay, I'll have someone send it over in a few days. Bai Jiangye nodded. Seeing that Bai Jiangye agreed so readily, Jiang Chun wanted to slap himself twice. Damn it, I said too little again. Then, Bai Jiangye and Bai Fengyu left. Jiang Chun adjusted his breath in the main hall for a while, and then went to the back mountain. Mo Xingtian had been cultivating in the back mountain. When he saw Jiang Chun, his expression became strange, and his body started to tremble. Why are you trembling? Start cultivating. Jiang Chun curled his lips, and the talisman condensed. In the clear sky, tribulation clouds appeared instantly. I say, can you stop for 2 days? Mo Xingtian smiled bitterly and said, You're fine being struck 3 to 5 times a day, but I really can't take it. Be obedient. Otherwise, I'll grant you freedom, Jiang Chun teased. As soon as the words left his mouth, Mo Xingtian immediately obeyed. Gathering all the true energy in his body, he prepared himself to be struck by lightning. Boom! Boom! At the back of the mountain, lightning flashed and purple light filled the air, accompanied by Mo Xingtian's ear-piercing screams. This time, everyone from the Reverend sect was standing on top of the mountains, looking at the back of the mountain. They were very curious about what was going on these past few days. Why did the heavenly tribulation keep appearing at the back of the mountain? When they saw Jiang Chun bathing in the lightning that filled the sky and refining his body, they could no longer remain calm. Lower-level physique state. You actually dare to use lightning to refine your body. His physical body is that strong? Even a Tao realm cultivator wouldn't dare to do that, right? The group was shocked. They couldn't imagine how strong a lower-level physique state cultivator had to be to dare to use the heavenly tribulation lightning to refine his body. Even Bai Jiangye looked at Jiang Chun with a dumbfounded look. It seemed like he was lost in thought. Grandpa, what is he doing? Bai Fengyu blinked her beautiful eyes in confusion. He's cultivating, Bai Jiangye said softly. Then his expression suddenly turned serious, and he said, No, he's committing suicide. Ah? Why would he commit suicide? Bai Fengyu asked. Don't ask. Bai Jiangye said. From now on, you'll follow him to cultivate. If he asks you to bathe in lightning to refine your body, don't agree. Bai Fengyu nodded obediently. However, Bai Fengyu thought that since she had become his disciple, she would naturally have to listen to Jiang Chun when it came to cultivation. At that time, if Jiang Chun really asked her to use the heavenly tribulation lightning to refine her body, she wouldn't be able to refuse. With this kind of cultivation method, even if he doesn't die, he'll be seriously injured. Bai Jiangye secretly said as he broke out in cold sweat for Bai Fengyu. He was worried that Bai Fengyu's cultivation method would be the same in the future. Quick! Sect Master can't take it anymore. Protect him. Grandmaster is seriously injured. A day later, on the various mountains, those who were watching Jiang Chun refine his body suddenly exclaimed. A large group of alchemists, array masters, and even Bai Jiangye and Bai Fengyu rushed over. This was because Jiang Chen's body refinement didn't stop for a moment. He was struck by the heavenly tribulation lightning for an entire day. After a day, even if Jiang Chun was made of iron, he couldn't hold on any longer. In the end, his body was covered in blood as he laid on the ground. This caused the group of people to feel extremely bad, especially the group of alchemists and array masters. They came here to consult Jiang Chun about alchemy and array masters. If something happened to Jiang Chun, wouldn't their efforts be in vain? Grandmaster, this is the blood recovery pill. It can replenish qi and blood and heal injuries. 1,000-year blood Lingji, Grandmaster, quickly consume it. Set up the array. Connate life, nourishing array. Help Grandmaster stabilize his injuries. A group of people had gathered around Jiang Chun. They threw all kinds of healing elixirs and tactical formations at him at the same time. Jiang Chun laid on the ground as a drop of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. He waved his hand weakly and said, I'll be fine after resting for a while. Really? Grandmaster, are you sure you're all right? The group of people didn't believe him. After all, Jiang Chen's current appearance was too miserable. His 7 orifices were bleeding, and his essence, qi, and spirit were almost dried up. His body was pitch black from the lightning strikes, and there was even a burst of charred smell. In this way, he wasn't far from death, right? He actually said he was fine? However, before the crowd could react, a blood light suddenly burst out from Jiang Chen's body. His essence, qi, and spirit were rapidly recovering, and even his charred body was flickering with fluorescence. After more than 10 breaths, a roar came out from Jiang Chen's body, and a terrifying aura followed. Middle-level physique state? It's only been 2 days, right? From breaking through to the physique state, and then to the middle-level physique state. Isn't this cultivation speed too fast? However, when the crowd thought about how Jiang Chun cultivated, they felt that this cultivation speed was normal. After all, Jiang Chun was using his life to cultivate. Fellow cultivator, when it comes to cultivation, you have to take it step by step. Don't be anxious. Bai Jiangye reminded him out of kindness. I'm also taking it step by step. However, you're walking, and I'm running. Jiang Chun smiled. After breaking through, his body had recovered a lot, and he could already stand up. Not long after standing up, Jiang Chun waved to the crowd and said, Disperse, I'm going to continue cultivating. You really don't need to rest. Grandmaster, aren't you afraid of being struck to death by lightning? Everyone exclaimed. His injuries hadn't healed yet, and he was going to be struck by lightning again? He's not afraid of being struck to death by lightning, but I am. Beside Jiang Chun, Mo Xingtian, who was convulsing from being struck by lightning, was extremely depressed. He felt it was a torture to stay with Jiang Chun, who knew when Jiang Chun wouldn't die, but he would have been struck to death by lightning long ago. Chapter 39. In the next few days, there were thunderous roars and screams coming from the back mountain every day. At first, the people of the Chuanzun sect were shocked, but they were used to it by now. As for Jiang Chun, he had achieved the upper level of the body state under this kind of crazy practice. Moreover, he had condensed 18 drops of blood essence. 18 drops of blood essence were 2 times that of an ordinary upper-level physique realm cultivator. Now, Jiang Chen's body was as solid as a rock under the nourishment of the 18 drops of blood essence. However, in the eyes of outsiders, Jiang Chen's skin was more tender and even had a layer of divine light. It was smoother than a woman's skin. Bai Fengyu went to the back mountain to see Jiang Chen a few times. Every time she saw Jiang Chen's tempting skin, she would show an envious expression. Oh no, something big has happened. One day, Lu Qingchen ran to the back of the mountain in a hurry. He came up to Jiang Chun, who was resting. He said in a deep voice, "It's rumored that you killed some strong men from the Star Sword School, the Eight Paths School, the Lian School Association, and the Shengwu sect. It's not a rumor, it's the truth." Jiang Chen smiled. "It's the 3 brats who spread it, right? It's the 3 disciples of Star Sword sect. They're in the martial pavilion complaining about you." Lu Qingchen looked worried. The martial pavilion was in charge of everything. If this was true, not only would Jiang Chun be in trouble, but even the Chuanzun sect would not be able to escape destruction. However, Jiang Chun was very calm. That was because the pavilion master of Qingyun Town's martial pavilion was Wu Mu. As for Wu Mu, he was now his servant. Jiang Chun believed that Wu Mu knew what to do. Otherwise, what was the point of having such a servant? "Don't worry, even if the sky falls, I'll hold it up." Jiang Chun smiled and asked, "How's Jiang Lu? That little fatty?" Lu Qingchen was stunned for a moment. He frowned and said in confusion, "I don't know what happened." During this period, that little fatty has become stronger and stronger. His cultivation has improved by leaps and bounds. Jiang Chen nodded and said, "That's right. The sacred body of Archean should be like this." Previously, Jiang Chun had gathered the raging flame grass from the setting sun forest. After refining it into an elixir, he had someone send it over. Calculating the time, it was about time for Jianglu's sacred body of Archean to open. The sacred body of Archean was known as the strongest physical body. Jiang Chun was looking forward to seeing what Jianglu would achieve when he grew up. Boom! All of a sudden, the 9 formations protecting Chuanzun shook violently. Seeing this, Jiang Chun frowned and looked at the mountain gate. A bright light flashed in his eyes. He looked into the distance and saw a large group of people gathered outside the mountain gate. Among them, there were those from Star Sword sect, Eight Paths sect, and the Union. Did they go to the martial pavilion to complain and come to Chuanzun sect? Jiang Chun said in a deep voice, "Is Bai Jiangye still here? Let him handle it." As soon as he said this, Lu Qingchen could not help but smile bitterly and said, "He just left yesterday." "Then forget it." Jiang Chen's face darkened slightly and said, "There are so many Dao realm cultivators here. Even if we go out, we won't be able to defeat them. Let's just hide in Chuanzun sect. They won't be able to come in anyway." "Isn't this a little embarrassing?" Lu Qingchen muttered. They had already been attacked in front of the mountain gate. If they did not go out and explain and say something, where would Chuanzun sect put their face? However, Lu Qingchen also knew very well that the strongest people in Chuanzun sect were Lu Shan and Tong Sang. However, one of them was an alchemist while the other was an array master. They were not good at fighting. In addition, there were so many people outside. Even if Tong Sang and Lu Shan went out, they would not be able to do anything. All right. Suddenly, Jiang Chun thought of someone. The corners of his lips curled up slightly, and he said with a smile, "Let Bai Fengyu handle it." Tell her that this is her first mission after joining my sect. Can she do it? Lu Qingchen muttered. However, he still followed Jiang Qin's instructions and found Bai Fengyu. Not long after, Bai Fengyu arrived in front of the mountain gate. A mere Chuanzuan sect actually has such a beauty. Umph. Today, we'll destroy Chuanzuan sect and take revenge for our sect master. At this moment, outside the mountain gate, the experts of the major sects were hooting and shouting. Moreover, many of them looked at Bai Fengyu with a trace of desire and greed in their eyes. That gaze made Bai Fengyu extremely uncomfortable. One must know that as the descendant of Emperor Bai and the only successor of Emperor Bai, Bai Fengyu had never been looked at like that before. To her, that was a form of humiliation. Get lost! At this moment, Bai Fengyu shouted angrily. Her voice was ice cold, and there was even a burst of ice around her. White fog lingered around her, and a layer of frost appeared on the ground. Even her pupils had turned silver white. Little girl, why are you so fierce? After we destroy Chuanzuan sect, you can be fierce on my bed. A Dao realm cultivator from the Alliance adjusted his breathing, and the desire in his eyes was not concealed at all. I only want Jiang Qin's life. An elder from Star Sword sect had an ugly expression, and his aura exploded. However, the defensive power of the small Mystic 9 array was astonishing. These people had already tested it, and were unable to break the array at all. Now, they were standing outside the mountain gate, and could not enter at all. They could only hoot and shout. Fengyu, I'm cultivating and need some peace and quiet. At this moment, Jiang Qin's voice sounded from the back mountain. When Bai Fengyu heard that, she pouted and muttered hatefully, You have hands and feet. Why do you have to make me do it? However, Bai Fengyu did not hesitate. With a cold glint in her eyes, she walked out of the mountain gate just like that. All of you can come together, Bai Fengyu said coldly. The moment she said that, the group of people was stunned. They did not expect such a gentle and beautiful woman to be so domineering and confident. Ha! Little girl, don't blame us for being ruthless. Capture her. Force Jiang Qin to come out. Amidst the furious roars, a few Dao realm cultivators appeared at the same time. In an instant, the true qi in the area went berserk and appeared out of thin air like loud shouts. Fist prints, palm prints, and even sword gleams pressed down on Bai Fengyu like a storm. You haven't even converted your true qi into spirit energy. How are you going to fight me? Bai Fengyu said disdainfully and pushed her fair and slender palm forward. Buzz! In an instant, ice appeared in front of her, and a palm print that seemed to be condensed from ice crystals pushed forward. Wherever the palm print passed, the sword gleams, fist glows, and palm prints were all shattered. Furthermore, the momentum of Bai Fengyu's palm print did not decrease. Instead, it gradually enlarged until it was like a heavenly canopy that crashed down, causing the group of people outside the mountain gate to fall to the ground. Stepping into the Dao realm from the martial Dao is a transformation where the true qi in one's body is converted into spirit energy. Bai Fengyu said softly, although you guys are Dao realm cultivators, your true qi has yet to transform into spirit energy. You guys are truly too weak. Right after she said that, Jiang Qin's voice sounded from the back mountain once more. Shut up, hurry up, and come back. Chapter 40. Oh! Hearing this, Bai Fengyu weakly muttered. Then, with a beautiful turn of her body, she walked back to the mountain gate with graceful steps. At this moment, outside the sect, a group of people were lying on the ground. They didn't feel good. A large group of people had come to suppress the Chuanzuan school. They wanted to kill Jiang Qin. In the end, they were suppressed by a little girl. If this spread out, where would they put their faces as seniors? Our sects added up to 8 or 9 Dao realm cultivators. In the end, we couldn't even defeat a single palm from that little girl. Too infuriating. When did such an expert appear in Chuanzuan sect? Everyone was puzzled and embarrassed. After getting up, they turned around and left. They didn't have the face to stay any longer. At the same time, everyone was thinking about who Bai Fingyu's master was. Could it be Jiang Chen? It can't be, right? From what I know, Jiang Chen was only at the upper level of the spirit realm not long ago. But this little girl is at the Tao realm, and her true qi has transformed into spirit qi. How can she be Jiang Chen's disciple? Everyone was guessing. Of course, they didn't believe that Jiang Chen was Bai Fingyu's master. At this moment, Bai Fingyu came to the back of the mountain. She looked at Jiang Chen, who was recuperating with resentment, and said, "Master, you've been struck by lightning these few days. No, you've been cultivating and didn't have time to teach me. What do you want to learn?" Jiang Chen smiled. "You're already very strong now." But Bai Fingyu opened her mouth. After thinking for a while, she said, "I don't know what I want to learn, but you're my master. You should teach me something, right?" "It's not that I don't want to teach you. It's that Bai Fingyu's tuition fees haven't been sent over yet," Jiang Chen said seriously. "I'm your master." "That's right, but I have to pay for it." You. Bai Fingyu rolled her eyes and almost fainted from anger. She really could not imagine that such a mysterious person, who was also the leader of a sect, was actually so stingy and loved money so much. "My grandfather just returned to White Emperor City yesterday. Even if we get someone to send the tuition fees over, it will still take a few days." Bai Fingyu shouted, "Hurry up! Teach me! I won't teach you." Jiang Chen laughed mockingly as he summoned his talisman puppet. The tribulation clouds appeared in the sky. When Bai Fingyu saw the tribulation clouds appear, she was so scared that her delicate body trembled. She fiercely glared at Jiang Chen before turning around and running away, afraid that she would be struck by the lightning. Boom! Boom! Soon after, the back of the mountain was filled with thunder and lightning, accompanied by Mo Xingtian's blood-curdling screams that echoed throughout the Chuanzuan sect. Just like that, another 10 days passed. In these 10 days, Jiang Chen had refined his body with thunder, cultivating day and night. The amount of blood essence in his body had already reached 35 drops. With one more drop of blood essence, Jiang Chen could reach the peak of the physique realm and cultivate the infinity technique to the completion stage. However, on this day, just as Jiang Chen was about to inscribe the talisman to attract the tribulation clouds, Lu Qingchen came to the back of the mountain again. This time, Lu Qingchen had a smile on his face. He held an invitation in his hand and handed it to Jiang Chen. "This is the invitation from the Martial Pavilion." Lu Qingchen said, "The Qingyun banquet will be held tomorrow. Only a few sects that are rated will receive the invitation." "Rated? Has the Chuanzuan sect never received an invitation before?" Jiang Chen asked. When Lu Qingchen heard that, he was embarrassed. Indeed, when Lu Qingchen was the sect leader, he had never received an invitation to the Qingyun banquet. "Go on my behalf," Jiang Chen said. "If there is nothing important, I won't go out. I'll just cultivate in peace." "This time, you have to go," Lu Qingchen said. "The Martial Pavilion Master intends to raise the level of the Chuanzuan sect from a 9th-rated sect to an 8th-rated sect at the Qingyun banquet. This is a kind of honor for the Chuanzuan sect. As the sect leader, you have to be there. This is the rule." "Oh, it seems that Wu Mu's servant is quite good at doing things," Jiang Chen said with a smile. The next day, Jiang Chen dressed up and then called Bai Fingyu and Jiang Lu to set off for Qingyun town. "Won't you be proud to bring me along?" On the way, Bai Fingyu blinked her beautiful eyes and said with a smile, "Won't you be proud to have such a great beauty by your side?" When Jiang Chen heard that, he was silent for a while. But in his heart he thought, "What's the use of being beautiful? If not for your strength and ability to protect me, I wouldn't have bothered to bring you along." However, Jiang Chen naturally wouldn't say that out loud. After all, having a woman to protect him would make Jiang Chen blush. As for bringing Jiang Lu along, Jiang Chen wanted to take him out for a walk and see the world. Otherwise, when he went out in the future, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. The Qingyun banquet was held in the Full Moon restaurant in Qingyun town. When Jiang Chen's group arrived at the entrance of Qingyun town, they were stopped by a group of people. Looking around, this group of people was a group of experts from Star Sword Sect, Union Assembly, an 8-path sect. Jiang Chun, did you kill the sect master of my Star Sword sect? Vicious person, tell us the truth. What happened in the Setting Sun Forest back then? The group of experts shouted angrily. Phone you next time. Don't wait for me to say anything. Just do it directly. Jiang Chun said softly, I am a gentleman. Under normal circumstances, I don't make a move. If it's not a woman, I can make a move at any time. What if I'm a lady? By phone, you blinked her eyes and rubbed the corner of her clothes with her slender little hands. She looked very well behaved with a trace of shyness. Lady? Jiang Chun was stunned, and a trace of disdain flashed in his eyes. Don't insult the word lady. After saying that, Jiang Chun walked into Qingyan town while Bai Fengyu's face was in a mess. Too much. Too much. At this moment, Bai Fengyu's heart was about to explode. Her face darkened as she looked at the group of people from Star Sword Sect. Her heart was burning with anger, but she didn't dare to notice Jiang Chun. In this way, this anger could only be endured by this group of people in front of her. However, just as Bai Fengyu was about to make a move, her expression suddenly froze. This was because he could feel an extremely powerful aura rapidly approaching this place. You people were previously suppressed by me with one palm, and now you dare to appear in front of me. So you have helpers. Bai Fengyu whispered as a trace of seriousness flashed in her beautiful eyes. However, Bai Fengyu waited in place for a while and suddenly realized that the extremely strong aura did not appear. Could it be? Bai Fengyu was shocked. Only now did she realize that the owner of that aura was most likely going to deal with Jiang Chun. In the next moment, Bai Fengyu's figure rushed out, passing through the crowd and rushing into Qingyan town. Boom! Just as she entered Qingyan town, a series of explosions entered Bai Fengyu's ears. She saw two figures facing each other on the street ahead. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.